at sastoday.ca and 620ckrm.com.
Weather for B&A Petroleum and Swift Current with multiple locations serving southern Saskatchewan for over 30 years. See B&A Petroleum for all your fuel and propane needs. Mix the sun and cloud today and a high of 9 degrees. Tonight, we're going to see some cloud roll in and drop to -1. Tomorrow, partly sunny, high of +7. Wednesday, high of 7 degrees again, mostly sunshine. And then Thursday, a high of 7 degrees. We could get some snow or rain.
B&A Petroleum is a southern Saskatchewan family-owned business that's there for you. They've been supporting their clients for over 30 years with locations in several communities throughout the southern part of the province. B&A Petroleum is available for all your bulk fuel and lubricant needs with propane at selected locations Monday to Friday. And don't forget, their Cardlock location is accessible 24 hours for your convenience. B&A Petroleum. Fuel you once, fuel you forever.
Broadcasting from Century Studios in downtown Regina, Harvard Media presents The Sportscage, where Saskatchewan comes to talk local sports. Brought to you by Kellen Solar, 35 years of experience, moving water from a dugout or well without electricity. Visit kellensolar.com to find out more about your livestock operation. Be part of the show. Call 1-866-767-0620 or text 306-936-6262. The Sports Cage. Streaming at sportscage.com, our YouTube channel, and on the radio at 620 CKRM.
Everything I can think of right now is spending this last night with all the boys, and I'm just going to miss them in the off-season. I couldn't wait to come to the field every day and just hang with everybody, and I've been crying for probably an hour, so I thought I was done with the tears, but I just love these guys so much. It was so much fun coming to work every day and, battling with these guys, and we have so much to be proud of, even though, it didn't go our way. All I care about is just hanging with these guys for, another couple hours.
That was Toronto Blue Jays' Ernie Clement after that absolute gut-wrenching loss in Game 7 of the World Series, falling to the LA Dodgers. Of course, Ernie Clement setting an MLB record with 30 hits in a single postseason. What a run. But the Toronto Blue Jays couldn't quite get it done. Welcome to the Monday edition of the Sports Cage. I am your Monday host, Tegan Whitco, and it is brought to you by Kellen Solar. 35 years of experience moving water from dugout to well without electricity. Visit kellensolar.com to find out more on your livestock operation, rather. Of course, I'm Tegan, joined by voice of your Saskatchewan Roughriders, Dave Thomas. And yes, we have plenty to get to today, Dave. But first, I want to back things up a little bit here with the Toronto Blue Jays, because that is the biggest talking point. Game 6, Halloween night. I know this is that typical radio question. How many trick-or-treaters did you get? I got 0 after first pitch.
You turned off all the lights and hid in the basement. Good call on your part.
No, it was quiet in my neighborhood after 6 o'clock. I did actually, our last trick-or-treater was my neighbor, because they were not going too far. They were not straying far.
Okay.
First pitch hadn't even gone out yet, and I'm just trying to sneak a peek at the TV behind me. But the Fall Classic, it was just that. It was a classic. That game had everything. That series had everything. Dugouts clearing, extra innings.
Yeah.
Was that not some of the best baseball you've ever watched?
I remember 92, 93, but I don't remember it like this. And I became too invested this year. That was the problem. I watched 138 Blue Jays games this year. I don't know why I know the number, but I watched them, whether it was live or PVR'd, whatever. But I watched it, and I'm like, this hurts, because we were there within 2 outs of winning the World Series. 2 outs.
Yeah. That game 7 took, I think, about 7 years off my life. That was stressful. Went to extras, of course. But those Toronto Blue Jays are just so lovable. I mean, the day before Game 1 of the World Series, it was, the Dodgers announcing that reliever Vesia would be away from the team for something that they referred to as a deeply personal matter. And then what the Jays did with their hats was just so cool.
Absolutely. And the Dodgers were talking about it, right? Saying that was a total class act. The one thing that I thought might happen at the end of the game that didn't, at the end of a series in hockey, the handshakes, I could have seen the Toronto Blue Jays going over and shaking the hands just to break the tradition of Major League Baseball in the World Series. But it was It was heart-wrenching. It was tough to get over. You go through the 7 stages, right? Denial at one point for a while. Like, oh my gosh, the foot wasn't on the base, or, it was really over the top, and so many.
Woulda, coulda, shoulda, right? Like, that's always the situation after you have a couple of days removed and you get to, take a step back and look at everything. But I do think wearing that 51 on their hats, the Toronto Blue Jays, of course, that's what this is all about. It's bigger things than baseball, regardless of all the political mumbo jumbo and everything that's happening in North America right now. But that is why we love sports. Not only that, but I found the Toronto Blue Jays truly did unite the country because, man, there were people who I don't think have sat down and watched an entire baseball game in their lives talking to me, glued to this postseason run. Talking about how Scherzer looked like he wanted to kill someone every single game day. It's just those little things that I think there was a lot of baseball fans born.
Again, it was incredible. And it was wherever you were, right? So Halloween night in our neighborhood, people watching their phones as they're taking the kids Halloweening. ALCS at Mosaic Stadium, right? Yep. You could see folks out with their phones watching the game in the middle of the Rider game. It was just so much engagement. And you're right. It unified a lot of people because it's hard not to cheer for the Toronto Blue Jays. Right? Usually there's somebody you don't like. And it was really, really hard to find that person. Now, I know there's a few people that are hanging on Jeff Hoffman right now saying, he was giving up home runs all season and it bit us in the butt. But at the end of the day, he faced the music, came out. And again, I don't think it was necessarily entirely him that cost the Jays a World Series, but it didn't help.
It's a full team thing, right? I mean, and that's why we're having this World Series post-mortem. What do you think? You can let us know. Feel free to reach out to us on the Prairie Land Rentals text line, 306-936-6262, or give us a shout anytime, 1-866-767-0620. And I will say, if you text us today, you're automatically entered in for a chance to win tickets to the West Final.
Oh.
Saskatchewan Roughriders. You also got the BC Lions coming to town for this one, right? So it's going to be an interesting matchup, and you better believe we are going to be digesting that throughout the day. We have so much more straight ahead. Also, I'm not sure if you saw the 50-50 at the Jays game, by the way, 25 mil take home.
Oh.
Yeah.
I saw it was jumping. It was jumping.
That was the largest 50-50 jackpot, because that's take home. Baseball history, largest jackpot. Absolutely insane. I saw the guy who won it on Twitter. People were just blowing up his phone. So the loss was a tough pill to swallow, but I think it's a little bit easier for one Jays fan out there.
Yeah, probably 25 million different ways. It's easier for that one Jays fan.
But as I mentioned, the stage is set for the East and West Finals in the CFL. And in just a little bit here, 3 Down Nation's Justin Dunk will be joining us to break down the games over the weekend. We also know who's going to be playing in the Hardy Cup this weekend, Saturday afternoon up in the Bridge City, Rams and Huskies. Now, of course, we will have voice of the Rams right here on 620 CKRM. Brendan McGuire will be joining us on the Riders Coaches Show today, Mr. Jeremy O'Day.
Yeah, Vice President of Football Operations and General Manager.
Absolutely. And then, of course, more football talk with Darian Durant. We'll talk Pats in Pats Chat with Dayce Derkatch swinging by. And we also had a curling announcement up in Saskatoon this morning with the Briar returning in 2027. That's the Centennial Briar.
Yeah.
That's something that's baked into the fabric of being a Saskatchewanian, I think, is curling. So I know a lot of people are excited for that one. But yes, as I mentioned, Prairie Land Rentals text line, from skid steers to tents to power tools, anything you need to rent for that spring or summer job is at Prairie Land Rentals. Deal with the owner, 600 Albert Street, and that number to text 306-936-6262. We will take a quick break here and come back on the other side. This is the Sports Cage on the home of local sports on 620 CKRM and streaming on sportscage.com.
I still just don't understand it. It's like buying a jigsaw puzzle and only getting half the pieces. I'm Wood Country Woody, and I like things done right. That's why my garage package came from Wood Country. A Wood Country garage package contains everything you need right from the start, including appearance-grade lumber, all your nails and screws, and walk-in doors with cladded jambs. It's one and done right with Wood Country.
Your home is your castle.
In McLean, Estevan, and Tisdale, wood-country.com.
Do you have a safety program or OHS committee? Call Campbell Safety. Harassment in the workplace? Call Campbell Safety. Don't know if you have a proper safety program? Call Campbell Safety. Once you have an injury, it's too late to have a safety program. Be proactive with Campbell Safety Consulting. They'll come out and customize your safety program and be that extra set of eyes you need. 35 years experience doing health and safety, and they have seen it all, and then some. Call them today and get a free consultation. Campbell Safety Consulting.
The Rough Rider Foundation's 50-50 is heating up. And the early bird prize for the West Final is a week in sunny Costa Rica, or $9,000 cash. But don't wait. The deadline is 5 p.m. November 6th. You could be cheering in paradise or cheering here with a wallet full of winnings. Don't get hit with regret. Buy your 50-50 tickets early at riders5050.ca and go Riders!
Riders 50-50 is presented by ISC. Lottery license LR250011.
This is Sportscage. Be part of the show. Call 936-6262 or toll free 1-866-767-0620. 620 CKRM.
Well, thanks for joining us. You can always watch the stream at sportscage.com, our YouTube channel as well, and right here on your radio, 620 CKRM. My name is Tegan Whitco, the Monday host of the Sports Cage, joined alongside my buddy Dave Thomas, voice of your Saskatchewan Roughriders. And yes, it is time to talk football on the Western Pizza Guest Hotline. It's the pizza known worldwide for a reason, loaded with toppings of Western Canadian ingredients and always cooked to perfection. Our next guest from Three Down Nation, Justin Dunk, also part of our Rider broadcast team. Man, there was a lot of fun football to watch this weekend, Justin. Thanks for taking time to chat.
Yes, indeed, there was. Lots of CFL action in the playoffs. Some seasons ending, some continuing. A lot of goodies, too.
So let's start right there. West Final matchup is set. Saskatchewan versus BC, Mosaic Stadium this Saturday. That crowd is going to be wild. Now, I know this is kind of a typical rust versus rest type of conversation here, but who do you think has the advantage when you see BC coming in on a hot streak and momentum on their side, but then you also have the resting Riders who have had quite a bit of time to digest some game tape?
It's the Riders.
Yeah.
I definitely think. BC, I think, got away with one in that West semifinal because of Calgary's lack of proper clock management or malpractice, however you want to describe it. I think the Saskatchewan team is just so focused and built on going 1-0, and we've seen it essentially no matter who's in the football game, that this team can compete with anybody, namely the BC Lions in that last regular season game. So I think the Rough Riders are decidedly the favorite in the West Final.
The Riders return to the practice field tomorrow, Justin. What are you going to be looking for most? There's been a couple of injuries there, so what stands out to you?
Definitely the receivers and how that plays out. They're deep at that position, both American and Canadian, but who's healthy? Is Dante Myers out there looking spry and ready to go? What about Keyshawn Johnson, who was their leading receiver this season? Is Joe Robustelli out there to sort of push the competition? What does that look like? I think, based on what we saw at the end of the regular season, that it seems like all of the Canadians should be good to go. The stars would be Sam Emilus and Keane Schaefer-Baker. And I think Mitch Picton made an argument to potentially be on that West Final roster. I don't know if that's actually going to happen, but I think with what we saw from him, he's a guy that has shown time and time again, when called upon, he can make some clutch plays. So I'm looking at the receiver group.
I tried asking head coach Corey Mace last week. He wouldn't show any of his cards, but we wanted to find out about Tommy Stevens there. So what's that short yardage going to look like? I think there's quite a few storylines to follow here. You're going to be busy this week, Dave.
Well, you're right. And the good news was Tommy Stevens last week was like fully sprinting on the field, which I thought was good. But speaking, Justin, I want to get back to your comment for just a second when it came to Dave Dickinson and the clock management at the end of the first half, Calgary, BC. What did you see there? Because there still was a timeout on the clock that they could have called to stop it to kick a field goal to get within even closer to what BC had put up on the board earlier.
Yeah, I thought it was more on Vernon Adams Jr., to be quite honest, holding that football so long, scrambling around, and then throwing up a lob ball, for lack of a better term, down the field that ate up all that clock. So I think there is, that coaching factor in there with the timeout on the board where you could have said, okay, let's call a timeout, let's reset here, make sure we know what we're doing with 9 seconds on the clock. We're going to call a quick pass, get down, and then have the opportunity to kick a field goal, or perhaps we're just going to kick a field goal right then and there to ensure we get that opportunity. That part of it, I think, is easy to say in hindsight, but you couple that mistake with the Rene Paredes, doink off the upright, for lack of a better term, that's 4 points right there. And then you go to the end of the game where the Stampeders leave time on the clock for the best player in the Canadian Football League, Nathan Rourke, to get his team in field goal position for Sean White to kick a walk-off winner. That game should have easily ended with the Stampeders trying a field goal for the win, and that's it. But it didn't end that way.
So what did the Stampeders do so well against BC? You look at the numbers, and Nathan Rourke didn't have a healthy day, if you will. Again, he's
There's
up
some
over
pressure.
Well, yeah, absolutely. And James Butler, right? Like the guy seems to have turned I don't know what you call it. Just seems to have turned a corner in the last third of the season where he could do no wrong. But Calgary, without Flo or Remoulade, seemed to have found an answer.
Definitely, that front seven or front six, however you want to describe it in the CFL, played really well for Calgary. Jalen Hutchings had a stout game up front, and Clarence Hicks, I thought, was pretty good on the outside. They were just sound and consistent in their gaps, and they didn't allow Nathan Rourke to have too many plays. There was one key play there, though, where he escaped out the backside and had a big run and then came back and finished that drive himself with another touchdown run off his own read look. But to me, that's the strength of the Calgary defense, is that front. And I think that's why, largely Nathan Rourke and James Butler, specifically James Butler, I should say, were held in check.
Okay, take me to the East for a minute, because things are blowing up in Winnipeg. Mike O'Shea's in, Mike O'Shea's out. Jason Hogan may or may not be around. All I'll tell you is that Brady Oliveira ran the ball 8 times, and the last time that the Roughriders were in Winnipeg, fans were booing the play caller because they didn't like what they saw coming out. I can only imagine what's bubbling over in the Manitoba capital.
I can imagine if Brady Oliveira was given some truth serum that he would probably boo Jason Hogan for parts of this season. And he was a little bit vocal about it too, right? Talking in the media that he wanted to get the football more, especially in and around the Labor Day matchup and that loss against the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Now, Brady Oliveira is a pending free agent, but you'd be hard-pressed to think that he could leave. There was lots of money put on the table for him the last time around when this happened. I think it was up to $275,000. The Ticats were really interested, and so were the BC Lions, but he elected to stay for less with Winnipeg with an eye towards this potential home Grey Cup. Didn't happen, but I think with the relationships there and the fact that he's a hometown boy, that should give at least the Bombers a leg up. But he has shown he's at least been willing to entertain other teams. As for Mike O'Shea, who is on an expiring contract, and from what I'm told, these coaching and head coaching contracts actually expire like at the end of the year, so December 31st in this case, it would likely be with O'Shea. John Hodge, my colleague at 3 Down Nation, questioned him, I thought, very well today. And it seems like when O'Shea, talks about the community and the fact that he's been there for so long, and he feels like people that just pass through don't really understand the community that's in Winnipeg, that he would like to stay there. But there are steps to go to figure this out, because the general manager, Kyle Walters, his contract is expiring after this season as well. So you have some pieces at the top here that have to get figured out before you can start re-signing a guy like Brady Oliveira on a big money contract.
I will say, after the Winnipeg Blue Bombers were knocked out of the playoffs, I made the mistake of going on some of those CFL groups on Facebook, and it just turned into a Grey Cup buying and selling page. They're pretty fired up about being knocked out at this point. But let's take it even further east, Justin. Hamilton Tiger Cats, Montreal Alouettes, what are you seeing here?
The Montreal Alouettes on the betting line, at least at this moment in time, are the favorites on the road in Hamilton. And I think rightfully so. This team with Davis Alexander clearly plays at a different level. All the numbers back it up. He's 12-0 now as a starter, regular season, 11-0 postseason, 1-0 so far. And I think this guy's about to blow up from a stardom perspective. Like, if he even just gets to the Grey Cup and he keeps trash talking his opponents and then going out and throwing for a single game career high 384 yards, people are going to start liking the charisma. But then there's going to be the other side of it where the opposing fans are going to hate the guy, which is a great character to have in the Canadian Football League. I think he is that good. He means a lot to this football team. You look at, all of the metrics that he impacts from a statistical perspective, it's unbelievable. But the one that matters most is wins and losses. And I look at this for the East Final. I think there's an advantage here for Montreal because Davis Alexander actually didn't play either game this year between these two teams. He was out with that hamstring injury when they played both times. And I think that could be an advantage for Montreal because this Tiger Cats defense hasn't seen him, at least this season, live and in action on the field. Plus, you have these weapons that are, I would say, coming into their own. I think Austin Mack hasn't lived up to expectations in the regular season, but he had a number of big catches in that East semifinal. Tyson Philpott was doing his thing. Charleston Rambo had a big deep ball. And I think there's a lot of playmakers that can hurt you. And then Stevie Scott III, their running back, had his best career game in the East semifinal. So this offense is rolling. The offensive line is really good. Noel Thorpe has a defense flying around. I'd be hard-pressed to see Hamilton winning this football game, but that said, they have a bunch of weapons and a 5,000-yard passer in Bo Levi Mitchell.
How about the mental fortitude of the Montreal Alouettes? So Sean Lemon indefinitely suspended at the start of the year. They lift that. He comes back into the lineup. And then for an off-field incident that the CFL investigated, made a ruling on suspending Sean Oakman indefinitely. And then the Montreal Alouettes going ahead and releasing him literally 48 hours before they play a semifinal playoff game. What does that speak to in the coaching staff and the organization of Montreal to keep it together? Because stuff like that can pull a group apart real quick.
It definitely could. And a lot of people thought, okay, that's why Winnipeg's going to run the football with Brady Oliveira, because you have Mustafa Johnson, who's out with an injury, who's arguably an all-star level player in the Canadian Football League at the defensive tackle position, not playing in that game. And then you have Sean Oakman, who's out. He actually was an all-star this year in the East Division. And in comes Corey Robertson Jr., who had a solid game, 3 tackles, a forced fumble. But you just sort of stick that cog in there with what Noel Thorpe does in his multiple looks, keeping quarterbacks and offenses off balance. And I feel like that helped the Alouettes overall. But you're right. There was just a championship level focus with this team not to flinch when one of their key players on defense came out with a suspension leading into that game on Friday night.
Were you surprised, Tegan, that nobody's given Hamilton love? You've seen them play up close and personal with Bo Levi Mitchell. And I still don't think Bo Levi's getting as much attention as he should for the year that he put up.
You know what? I got to admit, I think this is going to be a closer game than a lot of people are giving it credit for. I think so, but I'm also not in a position to be discounting anyone.
No, but still.
You know what? I think it's going to be a tighter game. And obviously things are going to change throughout the week as we kind of see how that roster shapes up. And I don't want to get to free agency talks just yet because there's still lots of football to be played here. We've still got 2 weeks left, boys. But I want to know how Justin's feeling after that Jays loss. How's your blood pressure?
That was devastating. I mean, everybody's talked about it. So many runners left on base, and you just felt like, okay, there's going to be a Joe Carter moment here. But after it was over, I just shut the game off and went right to bed, tried to forget about it. So let's stop talking about it. I don't want to think about it.
You can tell Justin wasn't the one that won the $25 million 50-50.
Yeah. In all honesty, though, like for us as fans, right, we live it. We go through, again, it's like a stage of mourning. But as an athlete, I could not comprehend. And I did not comprehend until I was talking with some of the riders from the 2009 team and understanding how 16 years later that sting is still there. Like, I can't imagine trying to overcome this. Like, again, I've never been that level of athlete that would have to overcome something. Yeah, I got cut from my grade 6 team, but that probably could have happened any day, any time in my athletic career. But what I'm saying is, how do you get over that?
I think you just have to as a pro. And that's why those guys don't flinch in the moment. The Toronto Blue Jays, I felt like, didn't look nervous at all in Game 7 and went down fighting. And, when I think of these kinds of moments in pro sports, it's so often like inches, seconds, millimeters that decide legacies. Like, we're talking about some centimeters on the bat where Miguel Rojas hit that Jeff Hoffman ball out of the park. Like, if he hits it a little more off the end, it doesn't go out. I'm not saying that the Jays should have won. I'm just saying it's so small, like some of these details. You go back to 2009 and some of those great rider teams that didn't win Grey Cups. And it's just these key details that happen or things that can be totally random that decide a legacy. It just sort of gives you a perspective into how big these moments can be, but how small the details can be that decide them.
I don't know if did anybody else catch going into the extra inning, by the way, and I know this is way off topic, but you know what, if you wanted, Ernie Clement is not a Canadian citizen, but he might as well have earned it. When in extra times, he goes by the camera bay and asks Hazel May, hey, you doing all right? Well, they're in the midst of Game 7 World Series extra innings. You doing all right? Like, who does that? That's so Canadian.
I get it. It's nice. But, to be quite honest, I feel like too many people in the media, especially in Toronto, became cheerleaders. Like, I get it. It's Game 7, right? And Hazel May probably wants the Jays to win. But I feel like that bias was a little tilted towards the Jays, and rightfully so. They're a Canadian team. I guess that's just the journalist coming out of me.
Yeah, why you got to be such a party pooper there, Justin?
Yeah. Sorry.
You know what? For every champagne shower, there is also devastation on the other side. So it just didn't go the Jays' way this year. But you know what? We have football to look forward to this weekend. And you can, of course, hear Three Down Nation's Justin Dunk, part of our Rider Broadcast Network crew. We're going to be on the air this Saturday. So we'll be looking forward to that matchup at Mosaic Stadium. Thanks for the time, Justin.
Thanks for having me on. Let's do it Saturday.
Let's go. Of course. Thank you so much, Justin. If you have a comment to share with us, by the way, you can always reach out on the Prairie Land Rentals text line at 306-936-6262 or call us 1-866-767-0620. We are giving away a pair of tickets to that West Final this Saturday at Mosaic Stadium when the BC Lions are in town. So all you got to do, chime in with your thoughts. You're in. It's that easy. Just share an opinion. Okay, coming up next, voice of your Regina Rams, Brendan McGuire, is going to be helping us tee up that Hardy Cup rematch between Saskatchewan and Regina this weekend up in Saskatoon. This is the Sports Cage, streaming at sportscage.com, our YouTube as well. It's the home of local sports on 620 CKRM and sportscage.com.
Ready to raise your shower game? Rent a water heater and water softener together from Reliance Heath and turn every shower into a spa-worthy experience. Right now, when you rent a new water heater and water softener together, you'll get $400 back, sent by check after installation. Why settle for meh when you can upgrade your whole home's water and get big cashback savings? Don't miss out on this limited time offer.
Call on Reliance.
Call on Reliance Heath today.
So since that little ding on my car last week, I don't know where to take it.
I don't even know.
That's easy. Take it to Regina Motor Products.
Who said that?
I did. Down here. I'm Terry the Tire. Regina Motor Products Chevrolet Collision Center and SGI accredited auto body repair is a full-service collision and body shop that works on all makes and models. Just submit your claim to SGI and set an appointment to get your appraisal done. Easy.
I bet you're tired after saying all that.
South at Highway 1 and 6, Albert Street. RMPChevrolet.com.
This fall, the eyes of Canadian university football turn to Regina. The University of Regina, City of Regina, and U Sports proudly host the 60th anniversary of the Vanier Cup, Saturday, November 22nd at Mosaic Stadium. It's the first time Regina welcomes this historic championship, showcasing the best in Canadian university football. Tickets start at just $10 for youth and students, $20 for adults, and kids under 5 are free. That's Saturday, November 22nd, Mosaic Stadium. Get your tickets now at vaniercup.com.
Text CKRM 306-936-6262 for Prairie Land Rentals. Renting heaters, skid steers, and most power tools for all those winter jobs. And your official Husqvarna snow thrower dealer. Prairie Land Rentals, 600 Albert Street, where you deal with the owner. Welcome back to Sports Cage. Connect with the show. Call 1-866-767-0620 or text 306-936-6262.
Well, thanks for joining the show. I'm your Monday host of the Sports Cage, Tegan Whitco, and I am joined by voice of the Saskatchewan Roughriders, Mr. Dave Thomas. The Sports Cage is brought to you by Kellen Solar. Installing solar in residential and commercial buildings for 35 years. Local and trusted Kellen Solar. Visit kellensolar.com. And we will be having a guest join us here just shortly on the Western Pizza Guest Hotline. We will be talking about your very own Regina Rams double OT thriller this weekend. In fact, in Brendan McGuire's words at sportscage.com, he called it the greatest Canada West playoff game nobody saw. Because, well, the Jays were playing that game.
It was Game 7,
Yeah, so a little difficult to compete with, but it sounds like if you weren't at the game, if you weren't listening right here on 620 CKRM, you did miss just that, an absolute thriller. And I mean, a matchup between Regina, Manitoba, that's always going to be a good one.
It always seems to end up that way. I don't know what it is about the two teams. They always come down to the wire and or beyond like it did this weekend. And the one thing that is really that is different this year is that both teams, the Saskatchewan Huskies and the Rams, which by the way is a rematch of last year's Hardy Cup final, both teams are extremely battle tested, right? The Saskatchewan Huskies have had to do it the last 3 weeks now without their starting quarterback. The University of Regina Rams have had to overcome adversity all year long, not to mention the pressure of holding the Vanier Cup here in Regina, right? It's insane what the two teams have gone through, and it's kind of, I think, fitting that they've been able to persevere and now match up against each other.
Now, you hail originally from Saskatoon
No, I'm from Weyburn, and then I moved to Saskatoon. Get that right?
You lived in Saskatoon, so do you feel at all conflicted during these matchups between Regina and Saskatoon?
Who's asking?
Me, Tegan.
Yeah?
Yeah, and for everybody to hear, I'm not trying to throw you under the bus, Dave Thomas, but I am curious, if you were to be joining, just regular fans in the stands, you're not working.
Yeah.
What jersey would you be rocking on Saturday?
And
don't say a split jersey. I will not accept that as an answer.
The split jersey was where I was going.
I saw that.
It's because I like cheering for people. I like cheering for teams as well, obviously, but there are so many people that I like cheering for, like with the Regina Rams, Noah Pelche, and all the work that he does for northern communities in the off-season to get kids playing the game. I respect that tremendously, and it's hard not to cheer for him. He went into last season not expecting to play. Owen Sieben goes down week number 1. All Noah Pelche does is lead the team to a Hardy Cup championship. So it's hard not to cheer against him. Daniel Weeb, Seth Hundeby, Rough Rider fans, we got an opportunity to meet them during Riders training camp up in Saskatoon. It's pretty hard not to cheer for those two guys who have really given their program their all, coming back for a 5th and final season where they could have turned pro or decided not to return, but both of them have done it, and they've led the team. So it's hard, really hard, to cheer against people like that. You know what I mean?
Well, and the good news is the game's going to be on early enough Saturday that it shouldn't totally interfere, as long as it doesn't go to double overtime again. It shouldn't interfere with the Riders West final at home, Mosaic Stadium, of course, when the BC Lions are in town. But this should be a very interesting matchup between these two teams. And we're just getting Brendan McGuire linked up here to tell us a little bit more about that, because he pulled a late one on Saturday. That's for sure.
Oh, he did. Well, and so now on the text line, again, which is open at 306-936-6262. Kevin, Dave, are you going into politics? Because I didn't answer your question. Totally on me.
Did you notice I didn't even double back on that?
I appreciate that.
Yeah, I was trying to be nice, but I'm glad someone's calling you out.
Well, I know. It didn't feel good, but yes, I tried to remain as neutral as possible. Right?
I mean, you have to. It kind of comes along with the job. But yes, on sportscage.com, read the story. Greatest Canada West playoff game nobody saw. I did see that Marshall Erickson, unfortunately, a little bit banged up. Hey?
Yeah, he had to be carried off the field in that game, and he has just been so good for the Regina Rams. And I remember when he was coming in, there was a decision to be made because the running backs in front of him in his first year, he played a redshirt season with the Rams. And there was a decision to be made. Do we bring him in and forfeit an entire year of eligibility to give him an opportunity or not? And the Rams didn't force him in. They didn't say, no, you're going in. They went ahead and they actually said, okay, wait, let's talk with the family, because this is a kid going to school, and we don't want to mess with his schooling either. And they had a consultation, and they decided what was best for Marshall Erickson was not to play that season. So it was a tough decision. But again, person you want to cheer for.
Absolutely. Players, not just the team. Well, joining us now on the Western Pizza Guest Hotline, we have voice of your Regina Rams, Mr. Brendan McGuire. Thanks for joining us, Brendan.
Thanks for having me. Excited to talk about the game Saturday.
Yeah, that when you wrote thriller in your article, that is an understatement. What was the feeling like in that building? Albeit a small crowd was there, but there was some baseball on.
Yeah, I just remember all week dreading the thought that the Blue Jays might have to go to Game 7 and it was going to have to overlap with my Ramcast. But then when it's funny how everything changed, because I get to the park, the weather's perfect. Like when else do you get 11 Celsius in November? And even though the crowd wasn't very big, it was really noisy. There were a lot of Manitoba fans there, and a lot of them had noisemakers. And I'm not going to say that the atmosphere at Mosaic Stadium for a Ram game or a Thunder game is as good as it is at Leibel. I don't think it is, because there's a lot of empty seats. But the sound, the Jumbotron, Maxtron, sorry, the fireworks, all that stuff that you have in that stadium, and for the broadcasters, as you know, we get spoiled rotten in that place, kind of makes up for it. So the atmosphere was great, and the game was awesome. And I was really sick as a dog probably for 3-4 days leading up to it. And I didn't know that I was going to get through the whole broadcast. But then when the game started, it was great. None of that seemed to matter. And it's funny how by the end of the night, when the Blue Jays lost, and my wife's moping around a little bit and I'm moping around a little bit, and I thought, but what about that Ram game? So I went from dreading the thought of this college football game being on the same night to being kind of glad that it did, because it kind of balanced things out for me anyways.
So we were just, before you joined us, Brendan, we were just talking about running back Marshall Erickson and really starting that off fast for the Rams. How much did you notice that set the tone for the team in that first quarter?
He sets the tone for them every week. I mean, I've thought all throughout the season that they need to diversify away from Marshall a little bit. And I think the team feels the same way, because you never want to be too one-dimensional. But the truth is, he's just so darn reliable. And anytime you check down to him or you give him the ball, he makes things happen. And how can you stop? You just can't get away from him, because he is so reliable. And remember, he set the school record for rushing yards this year with over 1,000 yards. They play an 8-game schedule. So to put that in perspective, if this was an NFL or CFL season, he'd be well clear of 2,000 yards if he stays healthy for the whole year. And I forget what his total receiving numbers were, but really, really important. He's almost like a guy who would run for 2,000 yards and catch for another 1,000-yard season. Just to give you an idea, since week number 4, the only passing touchdowns that they have are to Marshall and to Alex Gagnon, the one fullback. So they have relied and Ryland Sokol, I guess, had the one. So the last half of the season, the only main receiver who caught a touchdown pass other than Marshall Erickson was Ryland Sokol. So they use him in any situation, whether they need to pass the ball, if he needs to run. I think of him as a true Canadian-style running back, because he uses the wide field in ways that I've rarely seen any other running back use the wide side of the field before. But we're going to learn, how do they manage without him going into this Hardy Cup, because I'm assuming he can't go, given the fact that he was on crutches at the end of the game.
Now, take us through the final moments of regulation in that game on Saturday. It was a nail-biter. Some crucial field goals in the final minute to force overtime. What was it like in that closing stretch, and how stressful was it for fans?
I think it was stressful for the fans, especially stressful for the Rams. Really critical when they fell behind. They were down 23-22, and then there was a 2-point convert attempt that was intercepted, and it was being run back the other way, and the ref blew it dead. Nobody understood why. And Chris Hattisback, who coached the Regina Riot for a few years, he said, no, at this level, they don't allow the pick twos, and I didn't even know that. A lot of other people didn't know that. That clip you're watching right there was when Isaac Wagner had to punt the ball away. They had to give the ball back even though they were down by a point. And there was no guarantee they were going to get the ball back. So it was critical that he got it into the end zone and that they got the return man surrounded, which they did. That tied the game, and I think that really loosened the noose quite a bit. Because when you're on defense, if there's, say, 2 minutes left and you're trailing, you're trying to get the ball back really quickly, and it just changes the way you're able to defend. That changed the situation to at least it was a tie game, and they weren't having to maybe press as much as they otherwise would have had to. And from there, it was just all about the field goals. The way the offenses were opening up, I think it's really surprising to a lot of us that it became a matchup of field goals from there on in. Maya Turner hit one field goal, and then on the final drive, it was the second last play of regulation. I'm going to say the Rams had it at the 54, and they had to do the connection to Emmett Stedman, which was a big catch, and they had to have it because if they don't connect with him, their season's probably over because they're not in field goal range, and everything just falls apart from there. And even just talking to Coach Mark and Owen, the quarterback, after the game, Mark told him, listen, we need this play. You need to force it in there. Like, I think what he meant is even if there's coverage, don't opt out of it and take the safe choice. You have to force it in there. And he's just going to have to hang on. And it worked. So that was a play where they let it all hang out a little bit because they were running out of time and running out of options. And it panned out for them. But if Emmett Stedman doesn't make that catch, their season's probably over. And it's interesting because in last year's Hardy Cup playoff run, it was the same thing. Emmett didn't play a huge role on offense all this season or last season, but in the playoffs when the chips have been down, boy, oh boy, they've called number 80's number a number of times, and he's come through in the clutch a lot.
Okay, I'm about to lose my good broadcaster badge, so I apologize for that. You're never supposed to interject opinion in a question, but it was posed at one point that the Regina Rams didn't win the game. The Manitoba Bisons lost the game. And I would suggest a couple of the plays that you just mentioned. The Rouge, that final drive to get into field goal range, and then how about the rookie kicker? They 18 years old to split the uprights in critical moments to win the game for the Rams. How do you see it, Brendan?
Yeah, he's 18. He looks like he's 14, and I'm just giving him but on the Rams, you know who the kicker is, but it is unbelievable. It's very, I say it's very Hank Olisic-esque because there's a great story of Hank Olisic kicking for Edmonton's CFL franchise weeks before his 18th birthday. They called him Thunderfoot because he had an incredible leg. The same thing is true with Ty Gorniak. It's unbelievable the things that he's doing. And at the end of the game, he didn't play his best game. Like, he missed a few kicks the last two games, and especially the UBC game was one he'd like to have back. And so this was his moment because he had to get that kick on the final play of regulation or their season done. And then in overtime, he had to make another one or their season is probably done. And then he had to make a third one in the overtime in which their season probably ends up being done if he doesn't make that. So he was stone cold. As it's funny, Marshall Erickson said the one week, I don't need to score touchdowns. We've got stone cold Gorniak. And then during a game, I called him Steve Gorniak instead of Ty, because when you hear stone cold, you think stone cold Steve Austin. And I said, not Steve, why did I just call him that? And I had to think about that. But so he played great. And then, but about your comment about maybe Manitoba losing the game, Maya Turner, the first female place kicker in Canadian college history, had a great season in 2024. She had a good year this year as well. And she put it off the upright on the 23-yard kick. And it's really unfortunate. There's the play right there. It's really unfortunate that a game had to end that way or that there had to be GOAT. But the truth is, if you have that many kicks back and forth, someone's going to blink eventually. And, I don't view it that way at all. I think the fact that the Rams managed to fight their way back the way they did, getting the Rouge to tie it and then surrendering the field goal and fighting back. No, it's kind of like that garbage that Caleb Joseph said on the Sportsnet broadcast Saturday night. He said the better team didn't win the World Series. The baseball gods got it wrong. And I just thought, you homer. He was just so over the top. The Dodgers, look, I was cheering for the Blue Jays too. The Dodgers had to fight back so many times. You can't say they didn't deserve to win the World Series. And I would say the same is true with the Rams pulling off that victory against Manitoba. It was just a great, well-fought game. And they managed to make the plays they had to make until Manitoba missed one. Simple as that.
So up in Saskatchewan, again, it's kind of a travesty. You only get a couple of games between the Rams and the Huskies this year. But You've seen them. You see the matchup. What's it look like?
Well, we saw this matchup a year ago, and the Rams went in there as heavy underdogs, and they pulled out the victory. Well, one thing I thought was kind of cute is late last year when we went up to Saskatoon, they lost to fall to 2-5, thought their season was over. Literally, players were getting on the bus thinking they were about to be eliminated from the playoffs because Alberta had to beat Manitoba in a game that was being played in Edmonton. And they had, I think it was a 20-point lead in the fourth quarter. I was watching in the press box and said, oh my goodness, they're going to blow this lead. And they did. And Manitoba came back. So everybody's hooting and hollering on the bus. And it was only a few weeks later, the Rams were in that same park winning the Hardy Cup. The score in that loss, 22-20. The Rams lost up there earlier this year by a score of
22-20.
There you go. Yeah. I was telling some of them that too, and some of them hadn't thought of that. So it kind of feels like deja vu all over again. I guess if there's a difference, it's the fact that I think the Ram offense is a lot better this year than it was last year, more dynamic, even without Marshall Erickson. Listen, they're going to have to diversify in a big way, but they are very well situated to do that. I think they relied so heavily on number 35, not because they needed to, but because he was the safe option. And why wouldn't you? If it keeps working, it ain't broke, don't fix it. They have a lot of receivers who have shown flashes like Ryland Sokol, Emmett Stedman, I mentioned, Caleb Sens and Blake Laidlaw, who are all plenty capable of playing a bigger role in that offense, but they haven't needed to. So they're going to have to rely on those guys a little more. Owen Sieben is a very different quarterback from Noah Pelche. Like Noah's athletic. Noah will get the ball out quickly. They didn't give up a single sack through 6 games because of Noah, largely because of Noah, and other factors too. But now they have a quarterback who holds the ball a lot longer, but that's because he's going to scramble around and he's going to try and extend something out of it. So long and the short of it is, I think the offense is more dynamic this time around. I think they'll put up more points. And on the flip side, I don't think the Ram defense, as good as it's been, and probably the top defense in Canada West, maybe number 2, top 2 anyways, they are not as dominant as they were a year ago. They had a dominant pass rush going into that game in Saskatoon. They don't have that anymore. They also don't have Jackson Somback and Delaney Robinson, some great defensive backs. So my prediction is I think it'll be very similar to last year's game, just more high scoring. We'll probably see another 10, 14 points each side.
Huskies have been rotating quarterbacks, or have had to out of necessity, as Anton Amandroud has been on the sidelines for about a month now. So Jake Farrell takes the helm at quarterback for the Huskies, who don't seem to have really lost a beat, but have they? Like, what does that challenge present?
Yeah, Farrell is a lot more mobile than Amandroud is. Amandroud's probably the best pure passer in Canada West, and he's a big loss for them for sure. And I can promise you the Rams are not happy that Amandroud is out. You never want to go into a championship game or get amped up for it, hoping that you're going to face the backup. You want to beat their best. That's just the way that they're wired. But having said that, they're pretty good with Farrell. They haven't lost since he came in. He's a little more mobile than Amandroud was. He's not putting up the big numbers that Amandroud did early in the season, but he's getting a lot of help, especially from Daniel Weeb, who's easily the best receiver in Canada West, the Saskatchewan Roughrider draft pick. So I don't know. I mean, yeah, they've lost a step because they don't have their number 1 trigger puller, but I think it's more than evened up by the fact the Rams don't have number 35, Marshall Erickson.
Just for the record, our beer league team, we always wanted to play the backup. Just so you know.
Of course.
It's true.
Now, Brendan, I know that it's a common cliche we hear all the time in football, 1-0, 1-0, 1-0 every week. But the Vanier Cup is in Regina this year. You spend a lot of time around this team. Is that a thought in their minds right now, or are they truly just focusing on their next opponent being the Huskies in Saskatoon this weekend?
I feel like they're pretty good at just focusing on who's in front of them. That said, it's impossible to ignore what's in front of you in the back of your mind. There's no way that they're going to kick that out. That pressure is going to be there, and I expect that all the players will admit that when this playoff run is over, whenever it's over, whenever it ends. they seem to do a pretty good job of just focusing on the task at hand. But there's going to be added pressure. There's always added pressure when you have a big event like this coming up. And so, yeah, absolutely. These players know that there's more on the line than they've seen in the past. One thing that I think is different is when I started doing these broadcasts going into the 24 season, they had recruited some older junior players. And it seemed like this team was really built for 24 and 25 because they were hosting the Vanier Cup. They probably would have been more on like year 2 of a 5-year build otherwise, and they accelerated to year 4. I think a lot of that has changed out of necessity. Delaney Robinson was signed by the Calgary Stampeders like 2 days before the deadline. So they've had to put in a lot of young players into the secondary who have stepped up and answered the bell. Owen Sieben is now a third-year quarterback, and he's probably going to be their starter for the rest of the time he's here. He's got 2 more years left. Marshall Erickson's a third-year guy. So instead of them being built really heavily on fifth-year guys, they're different now, largely because of injury, players leaving, whatever the case may be. And so this team's built a little more for the long haul than it was originally intended. And that's a good thing. That said, there are a lot of really important seniors in this lineup. I talked about Emmett Stedman, guys like Riley Schick on the offensive line. You know, he's not going to be back next year. Chopper Hippie, who never gets nearly enough credit for how involved he is, wearing number 7 and the linebacker spot. Even on that interception that Max Polischuk had in the first quarter, he was right there batting the ball up like a volleyball. So just really, really important players. So those players will feel it more than anybody because they always do in their 5th year. And the fact that the Vanier Cup is here, yeah, that's going to add more pressure. Last year when the Rams went into play the Huskies, it felt like it was the Huskies who felt the pressure because they were favored. They had a much better record, and they were playing at home. I still think that's going to be the case this time, but the gap has narrowed significantly just because of the fact the Vanier Cup is here. But one thing that I think is the great equalizer is the pressure is on the Rams to get in the Vanier Cup when it's on their own park. Let's not forget the pressure is on the Huskies to get in the Vanier Cup when it's in Regina. It's just down the road. That doesn't happen very often. It's only the second time that this game's going to be played in Saskatchewan. And there's no better feeling than getting to a championship game in the park of your rival. So I don't know that the pressure is on the Rams any more than it is on the Huskies to get to this Vanier Cup.
Brendan McGuire, of course, our voice of the Rams here on 620 CKRM. You brought up an interesting point here. Playing in your rival's home barn could be a possibility for the Saskatchewan Roughriders. But again, you don't want to look too far ahead, right? Because they still have to get through the Lions at Mosaic Stadium this weekend in the West Final. So I know that you call college ball, but I know that you follow the CFL. What are you seeing heading into this West Final matchup this weekend?
Oh, I think the Riders have a great chance. I mean, when you look at you look at everything. I mean, the Riders are built more to play outdoors. The BC Lions have lost their last 10 outdoor playoff games in a row. They're generally built to play indoor football. And this year's Lions squad is the same way, right? With the passing attack that they have. I think the Riders match up so much better with BC in this game than they would have with Calgary. And early look at the forecast. I know it can still change, but I'm seeing it looks like we might be on the wrong side of 0, and there might be some wind. But this does not look good for this game Saturday weather-wise. Not like the playoff game I did Saturday where the weather was like perfect. So I think that bodes really well for the Roughriders. The one thing to worry about is BC's running attack. I think we have the second-ranked rushing attack in the league with Saskatchewan and Ouellette against the third-ranked rushing attack in the league with Butler and BC. And remember, Butler didn't really get cranked up until about a third of the way through the season. So the BC Lions have proven they can run the football well also. So that's the one thing to be concerned about. But at any rate, I don't think you can pick against the Riders in this situation, especially now that, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think their secondary's pretty well healthy. That was the biggest thing. I always worry about having all those weeks off, but not playing meaningful games. You cannot simulate meaningful games, and teams often struggle, offenses struggle coming out of the bye week or non-meaningful games. Trevor Harris has not looked sharp in the first half of each game coming out of the 3 bye weeks this season. So that would make me worry a little bit. But at the end of the day, I think it's going to be a defensive struggle. It's going to be largely on the ground game. And at any rate, I think the Riders match the Lions pound for pound pretty well here. And I like Saskatchewan's chances.
All right. Cold weather football is ahead for not only the Rams and Huskies, but also Saskatchewan Roughriders and BC Lions. By the way, Brendan, I like how you said that, how you worded it was just perfect. You basically called the Lions wussies without actually saying that. They are built. Yeah, they are built for indoor football. I like that. Wow. I'm going to steal that one. Thank you so much for your time today, Brendan. Sure appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.
You can catch Brendan right here on 620 CKRM. This Saturday, of course, kickoff from Saskatoon is at 2 o'clock in that Saskatchewan college rivalry. Now, we do need to take a quick break here, and we will be back on the other side with your sports ticker. This is the Sportscage, home of the Rams on 620 CKRM and streaming at sportscage.com.
620 CKRM is your home to country's greatest hits and the 90s at 9. 1 full hour featuring the biggest hits of the 90s. Garth, Reba, Alan, Shania, George, and so much more. No cassette tape or CDs required, and 90s mullets are optional. 90s at 9 for the town of Wolseley and the voice of Saskatchewan. 620 CKRM.
Thank you, Rider Nation. The Riders Foundation 50-50 jackpots have been massive this season, and it's all thanks to you. When you buy your 50-50, you're supporting amateur football across the province. It's playoff time, and like the games, the 50-50 gets bigger in the playoffs. Can we get it to $1 million, Rider Nation? Maybe higher. Don't get hit with regret. Buy your 50-50 tickets at ridersfiftyfifty.ca and go Riders!
Riders 50-50 is presented by ISC. Lottery license LR250011.
Fall means pumpkin spice, falling leaves, and slippery roads. When the temperature drops, so does your tire's grip. Enter Quality Tire. Don't wait for that first icy morning to find out you need new tires. Quality Tire will get you into the right set for the season, so you can stop quicker, handle better, and keep smiling all season long. Stay ahead of the frost with Quality Tire. Trusted for the road ahead, with 9 locations across Saskatchewan.
QualityTire.ca.
Whoa, what's that?
Oh, that's just my telephone.
Are you maybe not as up to date as you could be?
Hello? Oh, hello, Elsie.
Head to Glassers TV, your SaskTel authorized dealer, and check out their selection of top-of-the-line smartphones. Here you go, Grandma.
Oh, isn't this lovely? Whoa.
Visit Glassers TV, your SaskTel authorized dealer in Moosomin today. Check out their new renovations and say hi to the gang.
Hello?
All the farmland and equipment you could need are available at auction this fall with Ritchie Brothers. A wide variety of farmland auctions across Western Canada will begin in earnest in October and run into December to get you ready for the next season. With new parcels of land and equipment continually added to their inventory, make sure to visit their website so you never miss an opportunity. Head over to rbauction.com to get started. Again, that's rbauction.com.
It's time for the Sports Ticker, brought to you by Reliance Heath Water Heater Rentals. Bundle and save with Reliance Heath. Rent a new water heater and softener together and get $400 cash back. Call on Reliance Heath today.
Canadian Mixed Curling Championship in Assiniboia, Saskatchewan, being represented by Regina's team, Jason Ackerman. And on the schedule today, they play Quebec at, they did play Quebec at 10 a.m. We'll get that score for you here in just a bit. And then Saskatchewan versus Nunavut, 6 p.m. tonight. Do you have the score, Dave?
7-4.
7-4. Thank you very much.
For Saskatchewan.
For Saskatchewan. Look at that. Okay. Pittsburgh Penguins in Toronto tonight, 6:30 puck drop. Oilers in St. Louis. You got the Canucks and Preds at 7:30. And then Saskatchewan female U18 AAA Notre Dame Hounds at Regina Rebels, 7:45 tonight. And then wrapping up week 9 in the NFL, the Cardinals are taking on the Cowboys at 7:15.
Go Cowboys.
Ew. Sorry. That's your sports ticker.
From the towers to the tractors, country's greatest hits. 620 CKRM, a Harvard media station.
It's 4 o'clock. Good afternoon. I'm Corey Atkinson from the SaskToday.ca newsroom with your 620 CKRM News. RCMP say there's no known connection between the suspect and the victim in the fatal shooting of Tanya Myers near Weyburn. The 44-year-old was shot while traveling in an SUV along Highway 39 with a friend. 42-year-old Chris Fallman of Regina faces charges, including manslaughter and weapons offenses. Inspector Ashley St. Germain says no other suspects are being sought. Fallman's lawyer says the public should reserve judgment until more facts are presented in court. The city of Regina says Frost Regina will return in February for its 5th year, celebrating the city's winter spirit. This year's festival includes Olympic-themed activities at Mosaic Stadium, along with fan favorites like skating under the lights at Victoria Park and carriage rides. Deputy City Manager Jennifer Johnston says nearly every site offers indoor and outdoor events, so everyone can enjoy the fun no matter the weather. The festival runs over 3 weekends across multiple city locations. The Saskatchewan Association of Rural Municipalities renewed their call to Ottawa to reinstate the use of strychnine. Strychnine, a poison used to control the population of pests such as Richardson ground squirrels, was banned by Health Canada in 2024. But SARM President Bill Huber claimed that might change.
Member of Parliament Stephen Bonk, he texted me on Friday morning saying that Federal Minister of Agriculture had said that they will go ahead with legislation to reintroduce the use of strychnine on an emergency basis, providing the provincial government, the Ministry of Agriculture, and the municipalities participate in that program.
A spokesperson from Ag Canada stated that when asked by the Commons Ag Committee if he would be supportive of producers and provinces applying to the PMRA for the use of strychnine on an emergency basis, Federal Ag Minister Heath MacDonald said yes, but they add the decision to allow it rests on Health Canada. The government of Saskatchewan has declared November 2nd to 8th as Skilled Trade and Technology Week to promote career opportunities in trades and technology. Immigration and Career Training Minister Jim Ryder says apprentices and skilled tradespeople are vital to the province's economy and quality of life. Skills Canada Saskatchewan is marking the week with an online campaign called Building Saskatchewan's Future Through Skills, highlighting the province's in-demand trades, training opportunities, and success stories from young tradespeople across Saskatchewan. And trading platform Questrade says it has secured regulatory approval to launch Canada's newest bank.
The company says its Quest Bank got the final go-ahead from the banking regulator and will be working toward a full suite of services, though the finer details will come in the early half of next year. Questrade CEO says approval was years in the making and that Canadians will benefit from another competitor in the marketplace. The move comes as other fintech companies also push more into the banking space, especially Wealthsimple, which has been steadily expanding its offerings to now include checking accounts, credit cards, and mortgages. Michelle Zedekian, The Canadian Press, Toronto.
That is your 620 CKRM News. Read more stories from around your community and around the province at sasktoday.ca and 620ckrm.com. Your weather is next.
Weather brought to you by Line-X Regina. Serious protection, killer looks, 1865 McGuire Street. Mix the sun and cloud today in a high of 9 degrees. Tonight, we're going to see some cloud roll in and drop to -1. Tomorrow, partly sunny, high of +7. Wednesday, high of 7 degrees again, mostly sunshine. And then Thursday, a high of 7 degrees. We could get some snow or rain.
For 40 years, the team from Line-X Regina has been protecting vehicles across Saskatchewan, and we're changing with the times. 3 generations of our family have protected your vehicles. Our business has evolved, and we're not stopping now. The next generation is here. Same family, same commitment, ready for the next generation of truck beds, rocker panels, trailers, bumpers, and running boards in all kinds of colors. Line-X Regina, 1865 McGuire Street, the next generation of protective coatings.
Broadcasting from Century Studios in downtown Regina, Harvard Media presents The Sportscage, where Saskatchewan comes to talk local sports. Brought to you by Kellen Solar, 35 years of experience, moving water from a dugout or well without electricity. Visit kellensolar.com to find out more about your livestock operation. Be part of the show. Call 1-866-767-0620 or text 306-936-6262. The Sports Cage. Streaming at sportscage.com, our YouTube channel, and on the radio at 620 CKRM.
Well, I'm Tegan Whitco, your Monday host of the Sports Cage. Curtis keeping this whole show running behind the board. Appreciate you, buddy. And I'm joined by Dave Thomas, voice of your Saskatchewan Roughriders. Now, we are heading into West Final Saturday right here in Regina at Mosaic Stadium as the BC Lions are coming to town. And we are giving away a pair of tickets to the West Final. So if you would like to win a pair, all you have to do is text us. Join the conversation, 306-936-6262 on the Prairie Land Rentals text line. And Dave, we do have a couple of people chiming in here. Montreal, specifically. This is Paul from Regina. He's wondering what was making all that noise in Montreal's stadium, Percival Molson. Wondering if it was pumped-in air horn noises. He's saying it was like a switch being flipped on and off. I didn't notice it was too big of an issue. They have banned air horns in Montreal for that very reason. It's getting a little loud and you can barely hear the broadcast. But I don't know. Your take?
Air quotes that they have banned the air horns.
Right.
Because there's still some kicking around, and I didn't find them as overpowering as they have been, but it was interesting. The first time that I was in Montreal last season, I didn't find it that bad. But the way that the stands are configured, they're pointing down, and TSN has got their microphones at field level, so that's what amplifies them as much as it does. So I can understand that it was there, and yes, the air horns have been banned, but they haven't. Does that help answer the question?
Fans will find a way to bring them in.
That's true, right?
But every stadium has their little quirks, right?
Well, yeah. The argument used to be in BC Place, right, that they were pumping in the crowd noise all the time, and that you could walk around in the concourse and you could actually, through the speakers, hear them playing crowd noise. And again, it was an argument. Okay, sure, that's happened before, and there's been other stadiums that have been accused of said tomfoolery, and I don't know. I get it, the artificial noise. Like, do you remember? You probably don't remember, but back in the day, remember the CKRM pep band?
Oh, yeah.
Was in the end zone, right? On those, like, old rickety bleachers that, like, I thought they were
talking old Taylor Field,
yeah,
right?
You're taking the big bass drum up on there, and I'm like, you're taking your life into your own hands by doing that as well, because those did not look. But anyways, getting away from the structural integrity of this, remember the pep band used to play, and they were at one point told that they could not play when the team was in the huddle because it was just too loud and it was artificial noise. So they had to stop doing it.
But then what's home field advantage?
Well, home field advantage is the crowd making the noise, but the Canadian Football League at the time ruled that no, that wasn't the noise. And I'm sure somebody on the text line, and I fully hope that you do, correct me on that, as maybe that was just, folklore or something, but 306-936-6262 is the number. But I'm sure that was the memory that I had, that the pep band was, I don't want to say disciplined, but they were warned that when the team goes into the huddle, you cannot go in and start playing because it is disrupting the flow of the football game and you're becoming a factor.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that's a little soft.
I'll
call it out.
I'm not disputing the fact that maybe, but again, weird things happened back in those days, right?
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. So that was a message, again, from Paul in Regina. Another one here from Robin. Said Robin phoned in when the Riders won, clinched first place in the West, and at this point, Robin told Wes Cates and team that the Lions would be meeting them in the Western Final. So
Robin
calling it,
yeah.
I like this because playing them 2 weeks ago, the Riders were without a lot of starters. They played the whole game, looked pretty good. They think Robin thinks that they are going to the Grey Cup. Thoughts now are the Owls will beat the Tiger Cats with Davis Alexander as well. So predictions coming in from Robin, and I do tend to agree with Robin in the fact that, that last regular season game really didn't mean much for the Riders in terms of the standings. They had Trevor Harrison for a little bit. They had some starters in that game. But again, the Tavon Campbell scoop and score that was called back could have been forced overtime potentially, right? And it was still a very close game despite the fact that, BC was starting all of their starters. The Riders weren't.
What I overheard in the hallway upstairs, right? So the coach's booth for both teams is up on our level with Luke Mullender and I. And the one thing that I heard that was said is that we just can't get any pressure on the quarterback, we being the BC Lions. So I know that that's going to be a focal point for the Lions this week in their week of preparation as they get set for the Riders. And I don't dispute what you're saying at all. And I think that's a pretty good prognostication that you've gone ahead and made, saying that, BC was coming in. And I think Montreal's going to give Hamilton all they can handle.
I tend to agree. That was another text, by the way, and another entry in to win West Final tickets here at Mosaic Stadium this Saturday. BC coming to town. If you want to chime in, give us your input, maybe even win, then just shoot us a message. Prairie Land Rentals text line 306-936-6262. And it looks like we are now ready to go on the Western Pizza guest hotline for the Rider Coaches Show.
It's time for the Sportscage Riders Coaches Show for the Saskatchewan Roughrider Foundation. Get your 50-50 tickets now for all Rider home and away games. Riders5050.ca and Steelcraft Doors Regina, made in Western Canada for Western Canadians.
Joining us now on the Western Pizza guest hotline is Jeremy O'Day, Vice President of Football Operations and General Manager for your Saskatchewan Roughriders. Thanks for joining us, Jeremy.
Yeah, you bet. Thanks for having me.
So to start off, Jeremy, 27 years with the club at this point. You're off to the West Final and fresh off the announcement of your contract extension along with head coach Corey Mace. Now, you're both remaining with the club through 2028. What do you think that continuity means for the organization, and how do you think it's going to help you execute the long-term vision that you have been building since bringing on Corey Mace?
Well, I think it's very important, not only for the organization, but also for the players. You know, the foundation of players that we have on our team. Them knowing the direction of the club, kind of who's going to be the head coach, and knowing that there's some security there at the head coaching position, and along with the staff. And so I think it's important for that retention of players moving forward. It's something that I have to live in the now and also plan for the future. So it's very important. It's nice to have continuity. Everyone knows what to expect from each other in the building. So kind of the expectations set with the players, and really not so much just trying to make them comfortable, but more so just letting them know kind of the culture that we're trying to create, or that we've created. So it means a lot for the organization.
When you get to this point in the season now, it's I don't want to say you can just sit back and reap what you've sown, but you sit back and you look at the job that this team has done in the roster that you've assembled. What do you look and see?
Just excitement, knowing that we're in the position that we sought after in the beginning of the year. You go all the way back to training camp and think about the foundation that we set in training camp, and you think about the players that have gone through injuries, up and downs. There's always all sorts of emotions that go on throughout the season, and adversity that every team will face. But you kind of put that all into perspective, and now it just comes down to opportunity to go 1-0. Obviously, the stakes are high, but this is the position that we wanted to be in. I know that when we finished last season, we thought that it was, kind of critically important for us to get this division first place, so that we played at home versus playing on the road. Just felt like it gave us a big advantage over the opponent. So we talked about it on the flight home last year after we lost in Winnipeg about what we wanted to accomplish and what we wanted to put ourselves in positions to do.
So with this contract extension, Jeremy O'Day, knowing that you're locked in through 2028, if my math is correct, that's 3 decades with the franchise. That's pretty big, but change is imminent, right? Following the CFL Commissioner Stuart Johnston making the rule change announcements, how does that impact how you do your job, if at all?
The rule changes aren't going to impact my job very much at all. I know it's going to be a different look on the field, different rules. I know that everyone is very opinionated on whether they like the changes or whether they don't like the changes. But ultimately, we're all employed by the CFL, and sometimes things change. I think that everyone wants change until there's change, and then they didn't want the change, right? So, I give them credit for trying to do things a little bit different, to look outside the box, to see if there's ways that we can improve the game. I know that when we moved the hashes in, everyone was concerned about the hashes, and I think our scoring is up the most it's ever been in our league. So Sometimes you do got to try things. I think some of them, personally, I think are great. And other ones, I'm just going to wait and see, what the numbers show and how it impacts our game. I think everyone that watched the games this weekend, I think the goalpost got hit quite a few times in the game, and so we'll see. Again, I'm open to change, and we'll see what the numbers say.
When it comes to this time of year, so again, Tegan referred to your experience with the organization as both a player and now in the administrative role and the football operations side. Which is easier at this time, being a player or doing your job now?
It's the end of the season as far as football ops, and we're always trying to look at the games further out, and we know that there's only a couple more games to go, so it does slow down a little bit this time of the year. But as soon as the season ends, it just goes into the next cycle for me. So I have to kind of try to be prepared for the end of the season, and then we're getting right back into setting the staff, starting to re-sign players. And so those are the things that I'm getting to do now with starting to think about those things. I'm not just sitting around waiting for the game by any means, although I'm very excited about it. And, I can't get here soon enough. But, you're not really looking at long-term injuries as much as you were before, saying, hey, we might get this guy back in 5 weeks. It's really kind of simplified down to, are we going to have him back this week? And if we don't have him back this week, will we get him back the following week? There's never really a slow time, but this is it's an exciting time for myself for sure.
When you get to this point in this season, and maybe we back things up, you talk about the establishment of the foundation and culture that started way back in training camp. When you look at the roster and the team that you've assembled for a playoff run, what do you see? How would you define the 2025 Saskatchewan Roughriders?
Yeah, I think we've put ourselves in position to go out there and compete to be 1-0. I'm excited about what the roster is going to look like for this playoff game. I think, if you started the beginning of the season and you said, going into the Western Final, that this is going to be the roster that's available for the Western Final, I think I'd take it every time. So we're excited about what it's going to look like. Our team's fired up. Hopefully our fans are excited to have this one at home, and I'm just encouraging them to get the tickets, because they mean the world to us. When we talked about having this game after last season, the reason why we wanted it was because we know what Rider Nation brings to game day. So we're going to be excited about the roster, and really just excited to put a good week of preparation in. Our players are in working right now, going through the game plan. We've had a bye week for some guys to get healthy, and now we just need to go put a good work week of practice and get ready for the game.
Now, the 2027 Grey Cup is coming back to Regina, Jeremy O'Day, which can be very motivating, but it can also add a lot of pressure. And I know we have this season to get through first, and next season before we get to that point. But how do you balance that excitement and that pressure? You've been part of Grey Cups here in Regina before.
Yeah, I think I don't know if you put any more pressure you do on any other year. I think if you're thinking 2 years down the road, then you're not really focused in the now. But, ultimately what we're trying to establish here is long-term success and put ourselves in positions where we have home playoff games that, you put yourself in that position enough times, then hopefully you're going to have chances to win the Grey Cups. And so we'll continue to do that. We're always thinking in the now, but also in the future. I think that I have to do that a little more than the coaching staff or the players. But that's my job. That's what I kind of signed up for. And it's an exciting part of the job. So we're going to attack it. And as every year, we're going to try to put the best roster available, make decisions during the year that will put us in position where we can have a shot at the ultimate trophy.
So when you're looking towards that future, obviously a huge part of it is draft. And through the CFL draft, you've got over a dozen draft picks on your roster right now that you selected and called their name. Is that a point of pride? And there's a couple of them that are making some pretty good impressions up in Saskatoon right now with the Huskies.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. I think some of the keys to success to winning in the CFL is to have a good quarterback and have good Canadian talent. And you kind of want to, best case is you want to draft and develop your players. And obviously we like homegrown players, but ultimately we're going to pick players that are the best for our roster at the time. And but we're excited about where we're at as far as our Canadian and how we drafted in the past. What's nice is, when you have some good players that you've drafted that went back to school, you get those players coming in with your next draft class as well. So it's nice to try to stockpile those players. We've been following those guys that we drafted last year. We're excited about what they're doing, and we're excited to add them into the mix next year. So very, very, very important part of CFL and winning football games is having good Canadians.
So again, I was alluding to receiver Daniel Weeb and linebacker Seth Hundeby. When you're tracking their progress, you can look at the statistics, but obviously you've got a good eye for what you're looking at. When you see that, do you see the progress in what they're making and what does catch your eye?
For sure. You're watching from, we watched them pretty heavily on tape leading up to the draft, and then we just keep an eye on them. We do every once in a while peek. Our video department does a great job of having all these games available. So we do hop on there and peek, and sometimes it's probably just for us just to reassure each other, hey, it was a good pick. He's still doing really well in youth sports, and but we've done it before with the Husky guys, and we also have a pretty darn good offensive lineman that's playing for Western that we've watched as well.
So when you're watching that right now and assessing where you stand, are you also then game planning for what the future has to hold? As you mentioned, you got to look ahead to that.
Yeah, for sure. I think you're going into the, what's nice is when you have guys that go back to youth sports that are planning to come back to you already know that they're coming back to your team, right? So you don't know how the draft's going to shake out until it's the draft. But when you have a number of guys that went back to youth sports, you can put them in the roster, and your future, your 2026 roster that you set up, you can have them in there and kind of see what your depth's looking like. And it's nice to add some guys, that you already drafted that are going to be back.
U Sports, has the program evolved to the point that players that are graduating are now more pro ready than maybe what they were in the past?
I think so. I mean, I appreciate you guys, the two of you aging me with the 27 years and the 30 years, but I started with the Riders when I was 5, so yeah. I'm not that old. But it's not a terrible thing, and sorry, I missed your question there.
No, just asking about U Sports, and if you find the athletes are more prepared for pro.
Yeah, so I think you're 100% right. In my time in the CFL, I've seen it firsthand where I believe the players are getting better every year, and it's not just U Sport players, but it's Canadian players in general. I think it used to be kind of the best kept secret of our Canadian players, and now all the universities are starting to catch on. So they're recruiting Canadian players a lot more. You can see that in our draft, our projections for the next draft. There's a lot of NCAA Canadians that are high up on the board, and so the Canadians in general just have improved. I think with youth sports, I think their strength and conditioning programs are better. I think the coaching's better. Not saying that there was bad coaching back in the day by any means, but I just think the players are very well prepared. Coaches are doing a heck of a job with them, getting prepared physically. So I think that they can step in and have an impact, and more so back in the day, I think it took them a little time to develop to the pro game, but I think now you're seeing guys that can have an impact right away.
Tickets have been moving fast for Saturday's game. What does game day look like for you and your favorite part of game day, if there's such a thing? I know for me personally, I get to the stadium way too early, and I'm probably in the way of too many people, but I just can't wait to soak it up. For you, what is it?
Yeah, that's going to be an emotional one. So for me, it would be, just getting in the car to come to the stadium, and as you're getting closer to the stadium, you're seeing more and more Rider fans, and the green and white is starting to be more prevalent as you approach the stadium. And then when you get here, I get here at a time where the fans are just starting to show up, and they're already starting to line up at the gates hours before the game. And Saskatchewan, is still cool to wear your team's jerseys, right? So everyone's in green and white, but everything from the security guards that I see every day, going out for pregame and watching our players start to get ready for the game. And then obviously for me, when we bring them out to the fan base, it's pretty special every time. It never gets old, I'll tell you that.
Now, we are at a point in the season where the stakes are high, guys are a little banged up, and there must be a bit of a balance there. There's something to be said about camaraderie and relationship building. I read a story, I do believe, that Dave Thomas brought to us. You and Corey Mace pranking Jamarcus Hardrick when you revealed that he was the most outstanding offensive lineman award recipient. So how do those little moments contribute to the team's culture and, well, ultimately their regular season success?
Well, I think, we're around each other so much, and, you get in a routine, your day one of practice, day two of practice, and your opponent changes. You're here it's the same time. The same guys are speaking in meetings all the time. So it can be getting a little redundant, but I think, our head coach is just really good at getting a feel for players. And that one was, it wasn't really by design with Jamarcus. We just kind of read off of each other, the mood of Jamarcus, and, Corey wasn't sure where I was going to go with it, but it timed up perfect because I think Jamarcus got into it with one of the D linemen at practice, and I think Corey had to talk to him a little bit. So it kind of led up to a perfect environment. And but I think it's important to know that we're doing it for a reason because we care about the player, and it loosens the tension a little bit, but also tells them that. We got a fun side to us, and but also gets the point across of, how awesome of accomplishment it is for him to be, the Western nominee for Offensive Lineman of the Year, and we can kind of share a moment with them. And I know that we like to do that anytime our players are given an award or they achieve something great. We like to try to give them the message because we know it's special for them, and then kind of just dial them back into saying, hey, it's not about you, it's about the team. So get back in the meetings.
Get back to work.
Let's go get the next win.
You were an outstanding offensive lineman in your day. What does this say to the humility of Jamarcus Hardrick that he thought that you were hauling him into the office to give him, whatever, put him in detention, if you will. And, the guy does nothing but lead when he's on the field. He speaks, the players listen, and then when he goes ahead and puts his effort on the field, it speaks volumes too.
Yeah, I guess that kind of speaks to the person, first of all, and then also I would say the culture that Corey's creating. When you're pulling a guy that's been a perennial all-star, is one of the leaders of the team. He's been named a division all-star. He's our nominee for the liner, and we're bringing him in the office, and he's coming in the office to get in trouble, right? Because he's in trouble. And if you would have saw the look on his face when I shut the door, I knew right away that he thought he was in trouble for something, which makes me a little bit concerned that he did something. but really, like, the guy should be walking in with his shoulders back and just proud about everything. And he's not concerned about that at all. He wants to be doing the right things all the time. And he felt like we were going to say something bad to him, and we kind of just led into that and then gave him the good news. But really speaks to the type of player he is. Every day he earns it every day, and he doesn't believe in carryovers or what he's done in the past. He's strictly lives in the moment, and really that's what we want all our players to do, is live in the now. And we've had lots of guys that have gotten awards this year and all-stars, and the message was they're great, but ultimately we're trying to achieve something that's greater than just an individual award.
Okay. Well, Jeremy O'Day, of course, from your Saskatchewan Roughriders, has been with the club since 5 years old. It's absolutely incredible. I thank you so much for your time, and good luck this weekend.
Thanks. And just wanted to say that we appreciate all of our fans. We know you're going to be there. Be nice and loud, and we're excited to take a run at it. So appreciate everyone. Thanks for having me on the call.
Appreciate you, Jeremy.
Thanks, you too.
Get those tickets and bundle up. It is November football now. This Saturday night, of course, Saskatchewan Roughriders and BC Lions. I know I'm going to be using the little Hot Pockets. Is that what they're called?
Hot Pockets is a good idea.
Yeah, I will be busting out all of my mitts and toques and gloves, and it'll be totally worth it, though. It's playoff football.
And don't forget, you can get the $20 tickets all in with the Co-op Community Zone. There is the what is it?
Me plus three.
Me plus three, right?
Fourth ticket free.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then $33 to get into the stadium in some spots. So, again, it should be a lot of fun. And as Coach Mace put it, we're all a part of the team now. So, the fans, the Rider Nation, we need to make our noise. So, there you go.
And some of the most reasonably priced entertainment on a Saturday night. That's a pretty dang good deal. And while you're at it, check out the Saskatchewan Roughrider 50/50. Okay, plenty of exclusive getaways, unique experiences up for grabs, sports trips, destination vacations. There's the early bird prize to be won every game. A variety of different ticket packages to buy. You can get your tickets now at rider5050.ca. This week's early bird prize: Costa Rica, all-inclusive. Costa Rica?
Potato. Just take me to the sand.
Yes, and the sun and the beaches. Package for two includes flights, of course, from Saskatchewan right to Costa Rica. 7 nights all-inclusive. 5-star hotel, Planet Hollywood, round-trip transfers. Or you can also just take the money and run if you don't want to go on a hot, all-inclusive vacation. $9,000. Not bad.
You don't sound sold on taking the money and run.
No, I would love to be sitting on a beach after this CFL season, okay? Riders5050.ca. Grab your tickets for that. Grab your tickets for the game. We are going to take a quick break, and we'll come back right on the other side. This is the Sports Cage on the home of Rider Nation. 620 CKRM and streaming at sportscage.com.
Listen weekdays at noon for Saskatchewan Today on CKRM with your host, Ryan Young, offering the most extensive agricultural news coverage with precision weather meteorologists in an industry that moves fast. Stay updated with the latest, most reliable information in ag news, crisis and trends, all in one place. Available anytime at saskagtoday.com. Saskatchewan Today, your trusted source for all things agriculture. Sponsored by Affinity Credit Union on 620 CKRM.
Equities, bonds, yield, PE, ratios, value, growth U.S., Canada, global, emerging, taxes, duration, correlation, economy, GOP, housing, unemployment.
Are you making any sense of this? Don't guess with your money. Call Brian Golly of Smart Investing Solutions at 546-2533. Brian specializes in helping his clients make smart investment decisions. Call 546-2533.
Elevate your baling experience with the Heston by Massey Ferguson 1 Series Round Baler. With a dependable, long-lasting design for challenging conditions and high-speed baling, this machine features swing-away net loading and an optional hydraulic drop floor for easy obstruction clearing. Quality hay production starts today with Heston by Massey Ferguson. See the Massey Ferguson 1 Series Round Baler at Nick's Service in Emerald Park. For more information, visit nickservice.com.
This fall, the eyes of Canadian university football turn to Regina. The University of Regina, City of Regina, and U Sports proudly host the 60th anniversary of the Vanier Cup, Saturday, November 22nd at Mosaic Stadium. It's the first time Regina welcomes this historic championship, showcasing the best in Canadian university football. Tickets start at just $10 for youth and students, $20 for adults, and kids under 5 are free. That's Saturday, November 22nd, Mosaic Stadium. Get your tickets now at vaniercup.com.
Get it hot and get it fast. Western Pizza.
Meet Todd. It's noon. He's really hungry, and his stomach makes sure to let him know it.
Todd, we talked about this. No more skipping meals. I need cheese. I need crust. I need Western Pizza.
All right. Western Pizza it is.
Western Pizza. Dine in or take out today before your stomach starts making demands.
And get it hot and get it fast. Western Pizza.
The Sports Cage Clutch Performer for Nick's Service in Emerald Park. Your local Massey Ferguson Challenger, Rogator, Gleaner, and Fendt dealer. Call 781-1077.
Well, I'm Tegan Whitco, your Monday host of the Sports Cage. Curtis behind the board right now, and Dave Thomas joins me, your voice of the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Now, your clutch performer. I got a couple, Dave, and I want to start. Let's see here. Liam Pugh and Maddox Schultz.
Okay.
So Liam Pugh and Maddox Schultz right now, they are out east. They're off to a good start at the 2025 U17 World Challenge in Nova Scotia. Schultz scored a hattie. Pugh, 2 goals, 3 assists in the Canada White 9-5 victory over Sweden.
Wow, 9-5.
Yeah.
Good start.
Yeah, pretty good start. So that is my first 2 picks for Clutch Performer. And I don't know if you want to steal this one because I already went with 2. I probably shouldn't do 3, but there was also a pretty big announcement up in Saskatoon today, Dave.
Yeah, coming to Saskatoon, it is going to be the return of the Briar to Saskatchewan for the 100th anniversary in 2027. So if you're a sports fan, how's 2027 for you? You started off with the Briar in March, and then come November, you're going to close it out with the Grey Cup here in Riderville. So I know that there's going to be an army of volunteers up in Saskatoon, so it's going to be a great event, I'm sure, just as it was here in Regina just, a couple of years ago already. But the 100th Briar will be played in Saskatchewan, in Saskatoon.
Yeah, 1927 to 2027, I imagine. There's quite a few things that have changed in between there in the world of curling.
Oh my gosh. Could you imagine the technology, like just in the sweeping alone?
Yeah.
Like I know my dad used to use the old corn broom and, I'm like, that's impressive.
Their shoes are probably also a lot nicer nowadays,
Yeah.
the slides.
But then again, anywhere that, the one thing that also impressed me about the curling ice in Weyburn was they actually had ashtrays like in the ice. So you know that you're doing something right.
Back when professional athletes were smoking darts while they were playing. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, times have changed a little bit. But yes, the 100th, the centennial Briar is going to be returning to Saskatoon. So that's pretty cool. That was your Clutch Performers. Brought to you by Nick's Service in Emerald Park. And listen, we want to hear from you. We are giving away some tickets to this Saturday's West Final game at Mosaic Stadium. BC Lions in town for that. And if you just chime in, join the conversation, you're entered to win. And Curtis is going to help me pick a winner at the end of the show today. So if you'd like to go for free, here's the number, 306-936-6262. You can always call as well, 1-866-767-0620. We do stream online, but we are also a radio show. So yeah, we'll take your calls. Give us a shout.
I'm pretty happy because you know what? Sometimes, the blind squirrel has to find the nut once a day or something, right?
Something like that.
So it's not all the time that I'm right, but when I am right and people acknowledge that I'm right, I really feel good.
And there's a few people agreeing with you.
Yeah, so I've got Steve sent me a text. Heather on our YouTube channel says Dave is correct about the pep band. They played outside the stadium until game. Then they sat in the north end zone and would play the moment that the opponent's play ended until the whistle. And it was pointed out to me September the 9th, 2000, so 25 years ago, the silver anniversary, if you will, the Saskatchewan Roughriders were assessed a 10-yard bench penalty for the pep band playing while the team... And I think it was Hamilton. I should have looked further. I believe it was Hamilton that was the opponent that day back in 2000. So, yes, it has happened. It does happen. And there is a penalty for it. So, that brings up the next step and next layer in this thing. So if you're in Montreal, so again, this weekend's game is going to be played in Hamilton between the Alouettes and Tiger Cats. But if you're in Montreal, should the Alouettes be assessed a 10-yard penalty if people bring in the air horns?
Or if they're pumping in sound, allegedly.
Well, the pumping in of sound is very tough to prove, from what I understand, because nobody that's pumping in the noise is going to admit to doing it.
Sworn to secrecy. There's an NDA somewhere in there.
Yeah, exactly. But if you come in and these horns that apparently have been banned, now I don't know if it was a CFL or Montreal Alouette directive. I believe it was the CFL that stepped in and said, no, we're not doing this anymore. So if the CFL has said that that's a rule, should they be throwing a flag on that?
You bring up an interesting point. I mean, a rule is a rule is a rule.
Yeah.
Right?
Could you imagine now? The CFL Replay Center is going to be scanning the crowd, right? So no longer are we looking for the spot of the ball now. The Replay Review Center is going to look into the crowd, determining whether or not they can find an air horn.
The command center being controversial?
I know, it's shocking.
That would never happen. What do you think? Let us know. Prairie Land Rentals text line, 306-936-6262. Yes, we have also been talking about the Jays So we did get a text here from Dylan in Saskatoon, now entered to win West Final tickets. Devastating loss Saturday watching the Jays going back to Game 6 when the ball got lodged was unbelievable. If that didn't happen, they would have won that game, definitely. I must say, though, it was a great series. Not even a baseball guy, but I'll watch the Jays in the playoffs. It was very entertaining after watching. I may actually start watching more baseball now. I'm focused on the Riders, though. Coming away with a big W on Saturday. I know they got this in the bag. Dylan from Saskatoon.
Well, Dylan is very much the optimist. So too are people on Sportscage.com. The poll question is, will the Toronto Blue Jays return to the World Series next year? 65% of people say yes. Like, again, there's a lot of hope.
There's a lot of hope. It's also going to... How many returning players are they going to have Bo Bichette back?
Question number one.
That is the biggest question in my book. We asked Blake Murphy about it last week.
Mm-hmm.
He is a substantial piece on this roster. Again, free agency scares me, though.
Why hasn't he signed? But he says that he wants to play with Vladdy.
Mm-hmm.
And then the whole downplaying of he hasn't signed. It's not a big deal. Don't worry about it. But I'm... Again, so there's that piece.
Yes.
Obviously, something has to happen with the bullpen, I would suggest.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're going to have to bring in some pieces there. And Springer, stay healthy.
Well, yeah, that's true, right? The other, and again, this is how often I am wrong. Because when spring training broke in Dunedin and the Jays announced their roster and who was coming up, I was absolutely shocked they sent Addison Barger to the minors, which they won't do again.
No.
But I was shocked. How could you be bringing Ernie Clement? Ernie Clement cannot be an everyday player. And as we have now just found out in the postseason, I'm wrong.
Yeah.
I am extremely wrong.
30 hits in a single postseason.
New
MLB record.
Yeah. So Ernie Clement, and again, the things that he battled through, right? The injuries. So he had broke a bone in his hand. So in the last week of the regular season, he was playing through that. He's been hit by pitches. He slides in, like, he wears with pride the blown out knee on his underneath clothing, his Under Armour. But and I'm like, this guy's just a guy. Like, he's just a ball player, right? Like, he's such a gamer is the word that I want to use, because when the lights come on, he shows up. And I never, ever thought that was going to happen.
It's the show, man. It's the big show. You got to show up when it's time.
But can he do it again?
I think, personally, a lot of professional athletes that we've had the opportunity to speak with, they use moments like that Game 7, the feeling after that game, and they use that as fuel. Curtis, I don't know if you still have that clip of Ernie Clement, but this is just absolutely heart-wrenching to hear come out of his mouth.
Mm.
The only thing I can think of right now is spending this last night with all the boys, and I'm just going to miss them in the offseason. I couldn't wait to come to the field every day and just hang with everybody. And I've been crying for probably an hour, so I thought I was done with the tears, but I just love these guys so much. It was so much fun coming to work every day and, battling with these guys. And we have so much to be proud of, even though, it didn't go our way. All I care about is just hanging with these guys for, another couple hours.
Ernie Clement, of course, with post-game comments. That's just, gut-wrenching. But you know what? This one text on the Prairie Land Rentals text line from Dylan, and I just want to throw it back, 306-936-6262. He mentioned the lodged ball. How much do you blame that lodged ball in Game 6? They could have played it right away.
LA could have played it. The Dodgers outfielders,
they just stood there.
That's what you're supposed to do, though. You throw your hands up, the ball is lodged, it's done. The Dodgers knew what they were doing, because if they play the ball, then at least one run is going to score.
I'm a homer. I'm sorry.
Well, no, I understand that, and I'm not disputing that. As a Blue Jays fan myself, I'm like, come on. It wasn't really lodged that much, but that much apparently
was
isn't
enough.
an argument. But you made a great point when you said that losses like Game 7 are going to stick with athletes, right? So, okay, it'll be interesting to see how this motivates the Jays moving forward. They've got some big decisions to make with their roster and their pitching staff, like Jose Barrios was left off and put on the IL, and apparently some hurt feelings, so on and so forth, right? Bring that full circle to what you heard Jeremy O'Day talk about. And if you missed Jeremy, you can find it on our podcast at sportscage.com or on the stream. And he talked about how last year's West Final was a motivating factor for this year's team. And I've seen that firsthand because right away, right, Coach Mace, when he was talking with us, he said that we wanted to go ahead and hold that game here, the game that they had to go on the road and play in Winnipeg last year. So that was the driving force. That was the motivating factor. That is the big advantage that they want to get. And so when Mosaic Stadium is rocking on Saturday night, that's the advantage that this team has been, I don't want to say built around, but this team has been using to fuel their fire all season long. And it isn't about the individual awards. It isn't about the number of interceptions. It's about making sure that they're ready for this moment. So they've gone ahead, they've rested players, they've done what they believe they've had to do, and making sure that this team, and Luke Mullender is going to go ahead and jump out a car door at me right now because I said this team wants to hit their peak right now, and he believes that the athletes, and again, who am I to dispute Luke Mullender, but he believes that the athletes every game want to hit their peak for each and every game and do it 18, 22, 23 times a year. To me, I think that the team needs to be firing on all cylinders right now and needs to be hot, and I don't have any reason to dispute that they will not on Saturday night.
Well, it's like the stupid cliche, win or go home, right? This is it. You got it. Like, every game you need to peak, but that peak target should be the Grey Cup.
Yeah.
It should be the be-all, end-all, the
so
finale.
Are you agreeing with me or Luke?
I'm on the fence.
You're going to get politician text now. Just saying.
I know. That's a very good possibility. But you know what? I think you even look back to the Seattle Mariners, knocked out of the ALCS. They stayed in the dugout and watched the Jays celebrate. Now, did they celebrate a little too hard? Debatable. Okay? There was a lot of champagne and stuff like that. But they wanted to see what that looked like because they hadn't reached that peak yet, if you will, as a franchise.
Now, there's going to be a lot of people that are upset with me, right?
Oh, no.
Because look at the Edmonton Oilers.
I don't know if I want to touch that with a 10-foot pole.
I'm just saying, right? They lose to Florida in Game 7. Their captain doesn't come on the ice and receive the most valuable player trophy.
Very true.
And, okay, so it inspired and motivated them through the course of the year. Yes, they were banged up going into the final against Florida. You could say Zach Hyman wasn't in the lineup, but it didn't get them to where they needed to go.
Yeah, does McDavid have a ring?
No, he does not. Well,
Exactly.
He's got a wedding ring now.
Wow. That's not the one I was referring to. We all know that. We all know that. I think it's going to be interesting to see how the Toronto Blue Jays do bounce back next season, though. I think it's going to be a fire in their belly. If they can maintain some of those pieces like Bo Bichette, then who knows? Maybe they will be back.
I'm curious what the career trajectory of Jeff Hoffman is going to be. As a closing pitcher in Major League Baseball, you have to be of the mindset that you step out, and it reminds me of like the old Major League movie, right? When Charlie Sheen's character comes out and Wild Thing is playing and he knows that he's going to come in, throw the fire, and get the outs. And Jeff Hoffman all season was plagued by home runs, and unfortunately it hit him right at the hardest time. And I did feel for him. Don't think that I'm like, hard, cold Dave here, but I understand that he believes that he cost his team World Series rings. I don't necessarily believe it was only him, but it's going to be curious to see if he can bounce back because that's going to take a toll. What was it, Mitch Wild Thing Williams for the Philadelphia Phillies back in the day, right? Is that right? I think I got that right. Oh, again,
Mitch
people
Wild
will
Thing.
tell me on the text line when I'm
If you're wrong.
But again, right? So when he got beat up by the Blue Jays in the postseason, he was never the same. He was basically done.
Yeah. I don't know. It's still fresh for a lot of people, and I know that we're harping on it a little bit, but it's the reality of the situation. I mean, this is the thing about pro sports. You win some, you lose some. The Jays, unfortunately, couldn't get it done, but that was still one of the most exhilarating baseball games I have ever watched. And it truly does bring you back to that 2015 year or that season, the 2016 era, when they really went all out at the deadline. They picked up Troy Tulowitzki and David Price that season. Like, they went for it. But this time, they were so close. They were 2 outs away. And I think That's what hurts for Toronto Blue Jays fans the most, especially considering here in Canada, we have not really had a whole bunch of luck in the Stanley Cup playoffs either.
No. And that's a good question you brought up too. Making trades at the deadline, right? So Louis Varland is going to be sticking around because the Jays have him under contract for a number of seasons moving forward. He's probably going to be the next closer, I would submit.
Mm-hmm.
But then what are you going to do with Justin Bieber's brother, Shane, right? He was brought in. Okay, it's Shane Bieber. Sorry, that was bad. But Shane Bieber, right, he's going to be a free agent potentially. He's got to opt in if he wants so he can stay in Toronto, or is he going to opt out looking for some dollars after coming off a Tommy John surgery?
I didn't realize you were such a Justin Bieber fan.
I know. I didn't either.
I learn something new about Dave Thomas every single day.
And it's not always good.
Okay, well, we should probably get to that sprinkle of the day here shortly, but we do still want to hear from you. What did you think about the Jays game? How you feeling heading into this weekend's matchup? Your Saskatchewan Roughriders hosting the BC Lions in the West Final. Of course, you can shoot us a text. If you text, you're in. You're entered to win free tickets to that West Final game. You are responsible for your own clothing, though, and your own Hot Pockets to stay warm. The Prairie Land Rentals text line, 306-936-6262. We are going to take a quick break, and we will be back on the other side. This is a Sports Cage on the home of local sports and your Saskatchewan Roughriders on 620 CKRM and streaming at sportscage.com.
When it comes to your financial future, do you know where you're headed or what happens when you retire? That's where Chad Reach, Senior Wealth Advisor, and the team at GP Financial Services and Oviso Wealth come in. They offer independent, local advice, smart client-focused planning for every stage of life. Visit gpfinancial.ca. Your family, your plan. With Chad Reach, 306-584-2755.
Mutual funds and other securities are offered through Oviso Wealth, a division of Oviso Financial Inc.
All the farmland and equipment you could need are available at auction this fall with Ritchie Brothers. A wide variety of farmland auctions across Western Canada will begin in earnest in October and run into December to get you ready for the next season. With new parcels of land and equipment continually added to their inventory, make sure to visit their website so you never miss an opportunity. Head over to rbauction.com to get started. Again, that's rbauction.com.
If you've got a Steelcraft garage door, you've got a door with parts manufactured and assembled right here in Canada. A door with better insulation and seal, plus a warranty you're probably never going to use. And if you don't have a Steelcraft garage door, you should get one. Don't just hang a door, install a Steelcraft. Turn curb appeal into curb envy.
Steelcraft door, Steelcraft door, Steelcraft door. We offer more.
Steel-craft.ca.
Sask Lotteries has over 50 years of winning behind us. And you know what that means? Lots of winning numbers. Numbers like over 1,200 organizations funded and 12,000 plus groups supported. $6 million given away annually in community grants. And the winningest number of all? $1.4 billion given back to the people of Saskatchewan through sport, culture, and recreation. And we're just getting started. Learn more at sasklotteries.ca.
Affordability in Canada is getting worse. Canadians are now paying nearly half their paycheck towards taxes. That's more than on food, clothing, and shelter combined. It's unacceptable. Conservatives stand with hardworking Canadians and will take aim at the affordability crisis by bringing down taxes, cutting spending towards needless bureaucracy and consultants, and fight for fiscal discipline in this Liberal government. My name is Warren Steinley, your Conservative Member of Parliament for Regina Louvain, and I will always be on Saskatchewan's side.
Paid ad by Warren Steinley.
It's time for the Sports Ticker, brought to you by Extreme Hockey and Sports, Regina's locally owned one-stop hockey shop. Now with a price match guarantee. 1425 McIntyre Street.
Well, Canadian Mixed Curling Championship taking place in Assiniboia, Saskatchewan, taking their first game against Quebec this morning, and they are represented, by the way, by Regina's team, Jason Ackerman, and they do still have another game coming up 6 o'clock tonight versus Nunavut. In the NHL, Pittsburgh Penguins in Toronto to take on the Maple Leafs at 6:30. Edmonton Oilers and St. Louis Blues in St. Louis, 7:30 puck drop. And then the Canucks take on the Preds on the road at 7:30. Saskatchewan female U18 AAA Notre Dame Hounds at the Regina Rebels at 7:45. And then wrap it up week 9 in the NFL. The Arizona Cardinals and the Dallas Cowboys. That might have to be our sprinkle of the day a little bit later on.
Oh, right on. I'm in.
Because I know we got a Cowboys fan over here. Yeah, that first kickoff, by the way, 7:15. That is your sports ticker.
Sometimes there's a song you just gotta hear. And every Sunday morning from 10 till noon, we give you the chance to play your favorites with the Sunday Morning Request and Dedication Program. 2 hours set aside to play what you want.
Hey, Cindy, what can I play for you today?
Forever and Ever Amen by Randy Travis.
Good morning, Ray. Could you play Coal Miner's Daughter for me?
I wonder if I could request Eagle When She Flies by Dolly Parton.
Sure could.
It's all brought to you by Matt's Furniture. Online at mattsfurniture.ca. True Fit Denture Clinic. No one should know you wear dentures, not even you. The Sunday Morning Request and Dedication Program with Ray Allen from country's greatest hits, 620 CKRM.
This is where we play. This is where we live. Extreme Hockey and Sport is where we shop when we need the gear for our game in our town. Hockey is in our blood as much as the prairies themselves. Extreme Hockey and Sport understands this. That's why they provide the Saskatchewan Stars of tomorrow only the best. Every level, any budget, expert fit. They're your local sit and fit hockey shop. Extreme Hockey and Sport, 1425 McIntyre Street, Regina's hockey shop.
Thank you, Rider Nation. The Riders Foundation 50-50 jackpots have been massive this season, and it's all thanks to you. When you buy your 50-50, you're supporting amateur football across the province. It's playoff time, and like the games, the 50-50 gets bigger in the playoffs. Can we get it to $1 million, Rider Nation? Maybe higher. Don't get hit with regret. Buy your 50-50 tickets at riders5050.ca and go Riders!
Riders 50-50 is presented by ISC. Lottery license LR250011.
I got $300. You want to bet 3, you quarter, you want to bet 20. Hey, it's Lauren McDougall, and I've got some exciting news to share. I'm now part of McBid's Auctioneers, a brand new independent company that's ready to roll up her sleeves and get to work. We've got experience, integrity, and a whole lot of tools in the toolbox, and we're eager to do business. If we've worked together before, I'd love to reconnect. If we haven't, let's change that. Check us out today at mcbids.ca and register to bid. We're building something special, and I'd love for you to be part of it. $800 anywhere. Sold!
Capital GMC just made a major move. A huge shipment of certified pre-owned 2025 GMC all-wheel drive Terrains has just landed. Sleek, powerful, and priced to move. Starting at just $35,997 on Unit 2559A. If you've been waiting to upgrade your drive, now's the time to get behind the wheel of a low-mileage 2025 Terrain that feels brand new for way less than you'd expect. Plus 150-plus point inspection and roadside assistance. Capital GMC is the GM certified pre-owned vehicle destination at the corner of Rochdale and Pasqua in Regina.
It's home reno season, and with that Regina wind chill, you're better off renovating than relocating. Stay productive with a little help from Freeze Tallman. From drywall and molding to installation and interior doors, they've got everything you need to renovate your space. Freeze Tallman's delivery team can also deliver right to your home if you live in Regina, Fort Capel, or anywhere in southern Saskatchewan. Freeze Tallman's got you covered this reno season. Visit freezetallman.com or see them in Regina or Fort Capel. Freeze Tallman. Let's get you building.
Country Corner, brought to you by Municipal Hail Insurance. Proudly serving farmers. MunicipalHail.ca.
620 CKRM is proud to support the Hospitals of Regina Foundation Home Lottery. Don't miss your chance to win the incredible $1.7 million grand prize show home. Proceeds support healthcare in Regina's 3 hospitals. Ticket deadline fast approaching November 14th. HRFHomeLottery.com. Take in a great night of Canadian country music with Terry Clark and Paul Brandt at the Connexus Arts Centre, Friday, November 14th. Show gets underway at 7:30. Stop by the box office or connexusartcentre.ca. And Mosaic Stadium is playing host to the Vanier Cup on Saturday, November 22nd. Join U Sports, the University of Regina, and the City of Regina for this historic celebration of Canadian university football. Tickets at uregina.ca/events.
For more information, visit 620ckrm.com. This is 620 CKRM Regina, the voice of Saskatchewan, a Harvard media station. Streaming everywhere at 620ckrm.com.
It's 5 o'clock. Good evening. I'm Corey Atkinson from the sasktoday.ca newsroom with your 620 CKRM News for Echo Sound in Fort Capel. Stay connected with the new cell phone from Echo Sound. Call 306-332-6711. RCMP say the man accused in a shooting of a woman on a rural Saskatchewan highway is not believed to have known the victim. Mounties have said 44-year-old Tanya Myers was riding in a vehicle when a bullet went through and killed her. Inspector Ashley St. Germain says officers are not looking for other suspects.
We are not aware of any direct connection between the accused and the occupants in the two vehicles that were struck. Tanya's family has been updated by investigators. Our thoughts are with them as they continue to grieve and process this new information.
A 42-year-old man faces multiple charges, including manslaughter, and his lawyer urges the public to reserve judgment. The Canadian Crop Hail Association says the volume of hail damage claims in Saskatchewan was average. Tyson Ryerchuk, the president of the CCHA, says nearly 7,000 claims were submitted this season.
In line with the average, absolutely, and the overall loss ratios that we were seeing blended across the province appeared to be pretty well on point year over year.
Two notable storms made up the bulk of claims, a storm in mid-June in the Mankota area and an intense storm July 3rd that swept across the prairie provinces, including Saskatchewan's northern grain belt. Young entrepreneurs in Saskatchewan are getting a boost, both financially and in other ways, with help from the Saskatchewan Chamber of Commerce and the Government of Saskatchewan. Here's Sask Today's John Cairns.
Last week, the announcement was made of the 57 young entrepreneurs receiving the Saskatchewan Chamber's inaugural Young Entrepreneur Bursary. The Chamber manages a program, but the province provides the funding. Recipients get a $5,000 bursary, access to mentorship, and a Chamber membership. Nathan Melly is co-owner of Boys Next Door Window Cleaning in Regina. He says this will be a help to help his business grow.
It's such a cool opportunity to get selected for this. The bursary is just a huge opportunity for us to, put some money into our training programs over the winter and make sure that our staff are being taken care of. And it's just a real help for us.
The government says the bursary recognizes the value and the contributions that young entrepreneurs bring to the province. For SAS Today, I'm John Cairns.
And the Los Angeles Dodgers' dramatic 5-4 victory over the Toronto Blue Jays on Saturday night in one of the wildest Game 7s in World Series history is ranking as the most watched Fall Classic game since 2017. ABC's Melissa Adden has more.
When you look at the number of viewers just for Game 7 alone, MLB says that they broke records from the 2017 World Series of nearly 26 million viewers. So talk about baseball. The love of baseball was also an international thing because we had, of course, the U.S. viewers, the Canadian viewers supporting the Blue Jays, who really played phenomenally.
The game averaged a combined 25.98 million viewers on Fox, Fox Deporte, and Fox Sports streaming services, according to Nielsen panel Only Fast Nationals and Adobe Analytics. Final numbers are expected to be released tomorrow. That was your 620 CKRM News. Read more stories from around your community and around the province at sasktoday.ca and 620ckrm.com. Your weather is next.
Man, remember the good old days? Floppy disks, dial-up internet, and that time Stifler wrecked the prom?
Yeah, well, it's 2025 now. Time to grow up and grab a real laptop from Echo Sound, your SaskTel authorized dealer.
I'll set up SaskTel internet, maybe stream some Max TV, or relive the American Pie trilogy in glorious HD.
Upgrade that sad flip phone while you're at it.
Whoa!
Echo Sound, your SaskTel authorized dealer in Fort Capel. EchoSound.ca.
Weather for Linex Regina, Serious Protection, Killer Looks, 1865 McGuire Street, and Croft Electric. 27 years of trusted, reliable home, farm, and commercial service for all electrical needs. CroftElectric.com and all socials.
Mainly clear and relatively quiet overnight. Just a little bit of a breeze left over into the evening. That will diminish the rest of the way down to the 10 to 20 range overnight. Temperature dropping just below the freezing mark near -1. Through the day on Tuesday, we'll call it partly sunny, but at times mostly sunny, especially in the afternoon. Temperature around 7. Light wind through the day. Clear and a little bit cooler for Tuesday night, falling off to -5. The wind will pick up just a little bit, and as it does, that drives the wind chill down into the minus teens for at least a little while through the night. But still, that's above average for this time of year. A sunny day on Wednesday up to around 7 degrees, and some cloudiness starts to thicken up Wednesday night into Thursday. Look for some rain showers as temperatures only get up to around 5 through the day. It's a cold rain mixing with some wet flurries into the evening hours Thursday night, and then partly sunny and a cooler day on Tuesday, the high struggling to around 2. With your 620 CKRM weather forecast, I'm Precision Weather meteorologist Phil Spivak.
Dan from Croft Electric explains why he is passionate about doing rural electrical work.
We are rural. I live on an acreage. I have 5 horses. I ride horses every weekend. We're rural. We want to be the one you think of when you're looking around your yard and you see something that's not electrically not right. We will come to your farm, wherever it is.
Croft Electric.
Do it right. Do it once.
CroftElectric.com.
For 40 years, the team from Linex Regina has been protecting vehicles across Saskatchewan, and we're changing with the times. 3 generations of our family have protected your vehicles. Our business has evolved, and we're not stopping now. The next generation is here. Same family, same commitment, ready for the next generation of truck beds, rocker panels, trailers, bumpers, and running boards in all kinds of colors. Linex Regina, 1865 McGuire Street, the next generation of protective coatings.
Broadcasting from Century Studios in downtown Regina, Harvard Media presents The Sportscage, where Saskatchewan comes to talk local sports. Brought to you by Kellen Solar, 35 years of experience, moving water from a dugout or well without electricity. Visit kellensolar.com to find out more about your livestock operation. Be part of the show. Call 1-866-767-0620 or text 306-936-6262. The Sports Cage. Streaming at sportscage.com, our YouTube channel, and on the radio at 620 CKRM.
Well, I'm Tegan Whitco. Yes, your Monday host of the Sports Cage. Behind the board, keeping us on the air and on the stream. That's Curtis. And then, of course, I am also joined by Dave Thomas, voice of your Saskatchewan Roughriders. But right now, we have a special guest joining us on the Western Pizza Guest Hotline.
It's time for Double Talk with Saskatchewan Roughrider legend Darian Durant. Double Talk is brought to you by Campbell Safety Consulting. At Campbell Safety Consulting, we work towards helping companies create a competitive edge by executing a proactive health and safety program.
Whew, yes, Darian Durant joins us now on the Western Pizza Guest Hotline, coming off the semifinals in the CFL. Oh, there's nothing that beats playoff football. But Darian, we are coming into this weekend's West and East finals, and you know what? Got to admit, the Lions, they're coming into the game pretty hot against the Riders. They beat the reigning Grey Cup champs. From your vantage point, when a team like that rides momentum into the playoffs, what do you think will be the biggest key to success for the Riders this weekend?
Well, I think they're going to have to match BC's big playability. I think Nathan Rourke has shown throughout this season that he is capable of the big play. The receivers for the BC Lions have been having a tremendous season. And I think the Riders should be able to take advantage of some of the holes in this Lions secondary. VA showed last week that he could take advantage of some of the holes throughout the season. BC's defense just seemed to struggle or couldn't put it together week after week to show some consistency. So I think there'll be some opportunities for the Riders to go downfield and take advantage of the secondary. But you have to match BC fire with the way Nathan Rourke has been playing this season.
Darian, since the first half ended in BC, I have been dying to ask you this question. Vernon Adams Jr. ran out of time on the clock. Is that on the coach or is that on the quarterback?
If he was younger, then I would say, the coach has to be in his ear a little bit. Maybe the coach's fault. But VA is such a vet in this league, and he's been through pretty much every single scenario. So you have to give him majority of the blame for this. He's out there on the field. He's, like I said, he's a veteran guy. He should know time, situation, what's going on. And with Dave being a quarterback as well, they both should know exactly what's going on. So, look, put it on them both. They're both quarterbacks. They both have played at a high level. So let's just put it on both of those guys.
You said, and maybe could you clarify this for everyone that's listening, that the Dave Dickinson or whoever the offensive coordinator is or whoever it might be for the Calgary Stampeders is in the ear of Vernon Adams Jr. Some folks may not recognize that there's a speaker inside the helmet. Can you explain that?
Yeah, I mean, after each and every play, the coaches get a time slot. I'm unsure exactly how many seconds it is, but immediately after the play, coaches are able to communicate with the quarterback. So it definitely should have been some communication there about the time, situation, what they're trying to do, what the goals are for this drive. Even some coaches take it as far as saying you can't take a sack here, or make sure you throw it away if something isn't there. They go deep into detail what you need to do in every situation. So there's definitely communication between the quarterback and the play caller. And with these guys both being former quarterbacks or playing at a high level, sometimes you can just say that this is unexcusable.
Can you relay personnel packages in that communication? I'd assume that it's a pretty tight window.
Yeah, that's the first thing you say. The first thing you say, the quarterback walks away from the huddle, you let him know what's the personnel. It takes a second to say Ranger or Deuce or whatever the case may be of the personnel. It takes 1 second. So VA's aware of the personnel. The coaches make that clear, and then you get into telling him situations. So, there's plenty of time, especially if guys are slow getting off the pile or, there's a long pass downfield. There's a little extra time there for communication to be had.
So the last follow-up question then on this, if it sounds a lot like pitch comm in baseball, right? So as a quarterback, can you ever shake off the offensive coordinator?
Well, I wouldn't advise that. I mean, it really just, it depends on your relationship with your offensive coordinator or coach and how much freedom he gives you. For the most part, a lot of veteran guys, they know. Even coaches take it as far as calling 2 plays in the headset, letting the guy know if you see a look that you don't like, then you can switch the play to this certain play. So, I wouldn't advise guys to going out there changing plays, especially younger guys. But if you have a great relationship with your coach, then he gives you the freedom to do so.
Still, I wonder what the over-under would be on the amount of curse words spoken into that headset throughout a single regular season game.
It's a lot. It's a lot.
Yeah, that's a little more than PG-13. Darian, as we look ahead to this weekend's game, the Riders obviously earned the right to host the West Final at Mosaic Stadium, first place. What does that home setting mean from a player's perspective? What's that balance between, comfortability and expectations?
It's everything. It starts with your routine. It starts with not having to travel to the airport, to get on a long flight, to go to BC. It starts with being able to sleep in your own bed, waking up in the morning, you're in your own. You can cook a nice breakfast for yourself. It's all about routine. So when you can have that playoff game at home, you're comfortable. You can, take care of your body, whether it's stretching, massages. All of your preparation is done, and it makes it that much easier. It's very hard to do those things on the road. So for the guys, it's all about staying in routine, and then not to mention the fans and the type of atmosphere you have during the playoffs. It's revved up. I would say 10 notches at playoff time when you can get that game in Regina. The fans will be super excited for this game. And, there's no better environment playoff time than in Regina.
Are you going to be one of those loud fans screaming in the stands this weekend?
I'm thinking about it. I'm still making some last-minute decisions here. I'm begging the wife, give me a chance to come. I really want to catch this game live.
Can you tell me, Darian, you started talking about cooking, and so that's, of course, where my mind went. I obviously spend too much time with Mullender. But did the Calgary Stampeders give the Saskatchewan Roughriders any recipe pieces for how you beat the BC Lions this week, even though they fell?
I think so. I think it starts with Dedrick Mills in the run game. I mean, if I'm looking at the forecast here, it's calling for some snow flurries. It may be a little bit icy on the ground, and Dedrick Mills went for over 100 yards on the Lions last week, and I think that's a good sign for the Riders and AJ Ouellette that there may be some holes in this BC Lion front. I know with Betts up front, they love to get after the passer, but I'm just not sure how physical they are up the middle. So that's for one. And then two, the secondary. I mean, VA showed that you can go downfield and attack this Lions secondary. And like I said earlier in the season, the secondary was just giving up big play after big play for 7 to 8 weeks to the season. So if the Riders can find some opportunities, find BC and some coverages that they may seem to be favorable for their matchups, then I think they can exploit this BC Lions secondary.
So if you look at the BC Lions in depth and what their defense presents, with Matthew Betts especially, he didn't come on, it seemed, until late in the season. Then he found some success. But the Riders, in the 3 games they've played him, have been able to neutralize his effectiveness. Is it simply, hey, this is the guy we're focusing on, and this is how we're going to do it, or is it scheme? What is it?
I think it's a little bit of everything. I think you definitely have to recognize where he is on each and every play. He's a game wrecker, right? And, you give him an opportunity, a strip sack, or, he beats an offensive lineman, that those type plays can change the game. So you have to recognize where he is. And I think balance is a way that you can slow down a great pass rusher like him. And that's where A.J. Ouellette and the inclement weather and things of that nature can come into play, where you can just turn around and hand the ball off. And he's not a big guy. So, you let Yoshi and these offensive linemen get a hold to him. They can carve the way for A.J. Ouellette to run through that front 6 or 7 from the BC Lions. So you have to know where he is at all times, just because he's a special pass rusher, but you can neutralize what he's able to do by just running at him.
Would you agree that Nathan Rourke wasn't neutralized, but he was held in check? Would you agree with that? And if so, how did they do it?
Yeah, I think I think Calgary did a great job of just keeping everything in front of them. I mean, the BC Lions offense is known for its big playability, and Calgary just sat back and made him take what was in front of him. He didn't have a huge game stat-wise, but what he showed was you give him the opportunity late in the game. He made the crucial throw down the middle to set the Lions up for a field goal attempt to win the game. He didn't force anything. Usually you would see a turnover or 2 from him where he's trying to force a throw. He kept that under wraps. So, even though he didn't have his normal explosive game in the stat column, he made the plays when it was necessary for his team. And, he kept them in situations that were favorable. And when you don't turn the ball over in playoff games, you definitely give yourself a chance. So kudos to him for protecting the ball and making sure he got the ball in the hands of his playmakers and not put the team in harm's way.
And Justin McInnis, what we saw, if you're watching the stream at sportscage.com, you saw the catch that he made to set up the game-winning field goal. And to me, and again, this is my untrained eye, Darian, to me it looked like the Lions really liked the matchup that they had with the zone and Justin McInnis and tried to exploit that. Does something like that come out in film study every week? Hey, this is one matchup that we need to take advantage of?
Absolutely. I think that, when you game planning with a guy like Buck Pierce, who's very smart, he knows about matchups, and he's a tendency-based coach. He understands that in certain situations, you're going to get these coverages. It's just the law of nature of averages. And he knew what Calgary would be in. He knew to put Justin McInnis inside that slot matched up against a linebacker. And it was just a great call for that situation. So, look, offensive minds, they know how to put the guys in great positions to make plays, and that was just a great call. And I would have loved to see Calgary play a little bit of man-to-man in that situation to kind of be able to neutralize a receiver going against a linebacker. But, when you're dealing – it's a game of chess, and Buck made a great call, and it was a hell of a throw from Nathan down the middle to this.
So when we shift things out east, because we know the Riders and the Lions are going to be playing this Saturday, but also on the other side of the country, we're also going to see a different matchup happening. Bo Levi Mitchell versus Davis Alexander, of course, with the Ticats and the Montreal Alouettes. How do you like that quarterback stack up?
Man, this is going to be a good one. It's going to be a great quarterback matchup. And what can you say, man? Montreal has just been on fire lately. I mean, they put up over 550 yards of total offense against this Winnipeg defense. And with Davis Alexander in the lineup, they're a totally different team. They seem to feed off of his energy, his attitude, and he's instilled his mentality into this entire football team. So the way this Alouette team has been playing, they every single time Winnipeg would respond, they responded right back. That was great to see. You weren't sure what type of game you would see from Davis Alexander, being that it was his first playoff game, but he showed that he has the ability to lead the team. He's a playmaker, and you can't say enough about Bo Levi and this Hamilton's offense and their resilience and what they've been able to do this. I think this is going to be a high-scoring, explosive matchup between two great offenses. And, if you're a betting guy, you want to think about this over for this one because both teams can put up points for sure.
What makes Davis Alexander so good? what attributes does he have that is making him play at this elite level right now?
I think it just starts with attitude, first and foremost. I mean, it has nothing to do with his abilities on the field. He just has everyone in that locker room rallying behind him. I mean, whenever you're a guy that is that fierce of a competitor, you're willing to do any and everything. You play hurt. The guys see you trying to do what you need to do to get on the field each and every week. They respect that. And you see the receivers running every route full speed. They know that if they're in the right spots, he's going to put the ball there. He gives his receivers a chance. He had 3 receivers pretty much with 100 yards receiving in that game. They're just an explosive team, man. And whenever the defense is feeding off of the quarterback's attitude, he's cocky in a good way for sure. But just with that swag, he just inspires the entire team. So I love the fire that I'm seeing from him. And, his playmaking ability just takes that team over the top.
Does swag have to be earned? Because he hasn't played a full season yet.
I think he's shown that he's the best option for this team, first and foremost. So the guys know that in order for them to win, their best chances are with him under center. That's first and foremost. So when you know that as a team and when he's on the field, and he has that swag, he has that attitude. You heard his comments last week about, with going back and forth with Willie J from Winnipeg, said, come on down to Montreal. And, when guys hear that and you have a guy that's willing to go out there in a street fight with you see the white tank top he has on. So it's kind of like an old school bar brawler mindset. I mean, the team takes on that attitude and they're willing to do everything to have his back. So you have to love that.
Did you feel at one point in your Roughriders career that the team took on your attitude? Because, again, you weren't shy about being confident in your abilities, and I don't think you had to be.
Yeah, absolutely. And I said it, I think, a week or two ago that I see a lot of similarities in myself and Davis Alexander when it comes to just the fiery, being fiery, a leader, not afraid to say some of the things that, would be bulletin board material in some cases that coaches may not like. I mean, it's just about you believing in your ability, you believing in your team, you feeling like you can go out there and make plays against anybody in the league. I mean, you have to have that type of attitude in this gladiator sport. And, they say that there's a borderline between arrogance and cockiness, and I think he floats on that line in a good way. And his teammates love it. So I definitely see some comparisons between him and myself. And, whenever you have guys like that, the team definitely rallies behind you.
Now, without looking too far ahead, I'm going to look too far ahead. Next Saturday in that East Final, who do you think the Riders want to see between the Montreal Alouettes and the Hamilton Tiger Cats? Who do you think, if you were in Trevor Harris's shoes, the Riders would have the best chances at beating if they do happen to get past the BC Lions next week?
I would say Hamilton. I think everyone would agree with me in that case. The Riders, pretty much handled Hamilton pretty easily this year. One of their losses, I think they split against Montreal, if I'm not mistaken. And, Noel Thorpe is a hell of a defensive coordinator. We're sitting here speaking on Davis Alexander and that offense, but we can't forget about Noel Thorpe and what he's able to do with these young guys defensively. In my opinion, he's a mastermind at game planning. So, Montreal is a tough team to play for the Riders. They match up well with the Riders. So if there was, you asked me who would I rather see and who would I think the fans would rather see, I'm sure everyone would say Hamilton Tiger Cats.
I'm going to jump back to that Winnipeg-Montreal game for just a second. You've been inside locker rooms. You understand how this works. And was it Noel Thorpe that dictated that the Winnipeg Blue Bombers couldn't run the ball, or was it the offensive coordinator that dictated that they didn't want to hand the ball off to Brady Oliveira? There's a lot of attention being given in Winnipeg right now that, hey, why would we not hand the ball off? And I don't know, Tegan, if you'd agree. If we're paraphrasing Wes Cates, he would say that every game he had the argument that he wasn't handed the ball enough. And I'll just leave that argument there. But
yeah,
he would agree.
When you get down into the nuts and bolts of a game plan and even into a game situation where maybe things are going the opposite direction of you think they would, what happens? What's that dynamic between quarterback and coach or running back and quarterback in the midst of a game?
Well, I mean, it's tough to continuously run the ball if you get down early. And, they were down 19 at the half. So I would say that had something to do with the limited carries that Brady Oliveira had. But at the same time, I mean, look, you have to feed him the ball. And Noel Thorpe, he's going to take away one thing or the other. He's not going to let you do both and just have a field day against his defense. So I think that he made a conscious effort to coming in to make sure that he slowed the running game down for Winnipeg. He wanted to put Zach in situations where he had to throw the ball. And, I hate to say it, but sometimes if you look at it like this, if you can get a good hit on a guy that's been known to be kind of fragile, so to speak, then you put them in passing situations and you give line and linebackers a chance to tee off on them. So I think he made a conscious effort to stop the run, make sure Zach had to drop back and throw the ball, and that gives you a chance of getting some hits on him. And I hate to say it, but as a defensive coach and some defenders, you want them to be okay, but you don't want them to get up and be healthy enough to finish the game. So I think that's the mindset that Montreal had. And kudos to Zach. He took some big hits. He got right back up. He had a hell of a third quarter. Bringing the team back. He made some crazy throws in that game. And, those big play receivers from Winnipeg did a great job of going up, making plays. So kudos to them for coming back and making it a game. But, Noel Thorpe definitely wanted to take the run game away, and he did that.
And is that Scott Milanovich's mission then this week, to make sure that his Hamilton Tiger Cats can move the ball on the ground and continue to be multidimensional?
You have to. I think you have to keep this Montreal offense off the field. You have to limit their possessions. You have to put some pressure on them and make them have to score every single time they get the ball. If you can eat 3, 4, 5, 6 minutes off the clock with your offense and wear that defense down and keep their offense off the field and make it tough for them, then I think that's what you have to do. If you continuously give Montreal possession after possession and you're going 2 and out, or you're not getting a lot of offensive plays, then you allow them to get into rhythm. And when we've seen over the second half of the season that when this Montreal offense gets into rhythm, they're hard to stop.
How hard is it to play in Hamilton?
It can be very tough. I think they have a great fan base out there. They're rowdy, man. They say some things that when it comes to trash talking, they may be number one at some of the things they try to say to get in your head. So I think it's a very underrated place to play. The fans are very energetic there. And with the East Final being there in this setting, it could be a tough place to play. And one more thing I want to say, man, I don't know what the league allows, but I just hate how in Montreal you can just fabricate noise, crowd noise. And even though you didn't hear the crazy air horns, I think it was something that they had that was like a horn-like noise, and you could hear it the entire second half. And I don't like the fabricated noise. Maybe it's a CFL staple, but we got to figure out a way to make sure the fans are making the noise and not just objects out there. I didn't like that.
Okay, I am so ready for this question. I am now ready.
This has come up before today, Darian.
So, and again, you can say yes or no. Yes or no, did BC pump crowd noise in when you played in Vancouver?
Yeah, they did. They did. They like to get over the loudspeaker and try to even have the announcer be as loud as you can until the referee blows the whistle, which in my opinion, when the announcer can get on the loudspeaker and put noise into the stadium, that's an unfair advantage for the defense as well. So, look, you can't knock BC because they do it in Montreal. I think you hear some bells in Saskatchewan. You hear different things across the league. So there's some sort of fabricated noise in each and every stadium, I think. But, if that's a CFL staple and that's how it's done, then so be it. But if not, I love for the natural noise of fans to be the number one thing that makes a home field advantage. So if we can get back to that, that'd be a great thing.
So because I'm so wrong so often, when I do get it right, I have to brag. September the 9th, 2000, the Saskatchewan Roughriders were penalized 10 yards, a bench penalty because the pep band was playing when the Hamilton Tiger Cats were in their huddle.
Oh, man. Well, look, it goes, like I said, every team has something that they do to kind of pump up the noise. And I just want to see it be the fans. That's it.
At least the pep band wasn't hiding it. They were pretty obvious about the fact that they were trying to.
Look, until you get caught, you do whatever you can to get away with it. If you get caught, then there's no harm.
Okay, tickets are going fast for the West Final, Darian. How big of a factor can the fan base be? Because we always hear, oh my gosh, the 13th man, they're so critically important. Coach Mace says they're a part of the team this weekend. What does it mean?
It's everything. A crucial false start penalty, guys going offsides on offense, you name it. Any little thing that can help, a flag here or there, the offense not being able to communicate, taking them longer to get the plays called, can't get in and out of the huddle. I mean, crowd noise affects all of these things. And, I would love to see the Upper Bowl and Mosaic just packed to capacity this week. I know a lot of times I would look at the game on TV and be kind of disappointed because you see so many empty seats in the Upper Bowl on the upper level of the stadium. So I'm hoping that there's not an empty seat this weekend and the crowd can definitely take over this game and be a huge factor because it's well needed.
Can they sway momentum?
For sure. I mean, look, this is the best crowd in the league when it's a full house. I was blessed to be able to play in front of tons of sellout crowds. And, I just think about it as fourth quarter. You're up. They have to throw. All you hear is crowd noise. They get a false start penalty or they get an offsides penalty. They go from 2nd and 10 to 2nd and 15, which is almost impossible to convert. So if you can get in some of these scenarios due to crowd noise, it could change the game. It could one play. It's a game of inches. You're one play away sometimes from it being a win or a loss, or 1 yard away from a win or a loss. So a 5-yard penalty here, a 10-yard penalty there could definitely be the difference in the game. And it's all about crowd noise from that aspect.
My count might be off, Tegan, but I think about a dozen people have offered up their coach this weekend if you want it, Darian.
Wow. I'll take that. Thanks, guys. I really appreciate it.
You'll always be taken care of here in Saskatchewan. But enjoy the game. Darian, thanks so much for taking the time to do this today.
All right. Thank you so much. Go Riders. Let's get this done.
Couldn't have said it better myself. All right, yes, get those tickets, and you can also win a pair of tickets if you just send us a quick little text here, okay? The Prairie Land Rentals text line. Chime in, join the conversation, give us your input. We are going to be giving away a pair of tickets after the show today. 306-936-6262. You can even just text in and say, hey, I'm watching the stream. Dave's shirt looks nice. It could be anything.
It could be anything.
It could be anything.
Probably won't be that, but it could be anything.
You never know. It's a nice Green Rider shirt.
Thank you.
Representing 306-936-6262 on the Prairie Land Rentals text line. We are going to take a quick break, and we will be back on the other side with Pats Chat. You can, of course, watch the stream, sportscage.com. We are also live on your radio at 620 CKRM. This is the Sports Cage, home of local sports.
This fall, the eyes of Canadian university football turn to Regina. The University of Regina, City of Regina, and U Sports proudly host the 60th anniversary of the Vanier Cup, Saturday, November 22nd at Mosaic Stadium. It's the first time Regina welcomes this historic championship, showcasing the best in Canadian university football. Tickets start at just $10 for youth and students, $20 for adults, and kids under 5 are free. That's Saturday, November 22nd, Mosaic Stadium. Get your tickets now at vaniercup.com.
Getting in on more of the sports action you want is as easy as playing at sportselect.com. Simply make your picks online, generate your QR code, and lock in your bet at your local Lotto Spot retailer. Then sit back, watch the game, grip your chair, and high-five anyone nearby. Every bet is 100% legal with the chance of winning cash in hand. When you're ready to play, bet on the original. Must be 18 plus to play. Play responsibly.
Get it hot and get it fast. Western Pizza.
Ugh, what do I want for supper? There's a bag of baby carrots, a slice of cheese that looks haunted.
Step away from the sad cheese, Dave.
What, the fridge? Since when do you talk?
Since you've been standing here for 10 minutes whispering pizza or cereal like it's a hostage negotiation. I'll make this simple. Order Western Pizza. You are welcome.
Get it hot and get it fast. Western Pizza.
Hey, farmers and ranchers, do you want the next generation to know and care more about agriculture? Donate to the Acres for Education campaign by Agriculture in the Classroom Saskatchewan to help get students out of the classroom to experience agriculture. This year, every dollar donated will be matched up to $25,000 thanks to JGL. So your gift will make twice the difference. Donate at aitc.sk.ca/acres for education.
Thank you, Rider Nation. The Riders Foundation 50-50 jackpots have been massive this season, and it's all thanks to you. When you buy your 50-50, you're supporting amateur football across the province. It's playoff time, and like the games, the 50-50 gets bigger in the playoffs. Can we get it to $1 million, Rider Nation? Maybe higher. Don't get hit with regret. Buy your 50-50 tickets at riders5050.ca and go Riders!
Riders 50-50 is presented by ISC. Lottery license LR250011. If your garage door is running a little rough, you don't need to be talked into something that you don't need.
Sir, what you need is the new gigantic-esque, voluminous, astronomical, ginormous, gargantuan, exquisite air garage.
Just call Busy Bee Doors, the local experts who have been in business for many, many doors. They can fix or replace any commercial or garage door.
Wait. With me, you get a little garage door keychain, please.
Busy Bee Doors, the garage door specialists.
Text CKRM 306-936-6262 for Prairie Land Rentals. Renting heaters, skid steers, and most power tools for all those winter jobs. And your official Husqvarna snow thrower dealer. Prairie Land Rentals, 600 Albert Street, where you deal with the owner. It's time for the Sports Ticker. Brought to you by Steelcraft Doors Regina. Made in Western Canada for Western Canadians.
All right, let's take a look at the schedule. Canadian Mixed Curling Championship in Assiniboia, Saskatchewan, represented by Regina's team, Jason Ackerman. They won their first game against Quebec this morning, and then they're playing Nunavut this evening. That game getting underway in about 25 minutes. In the NHL, you got the Penguins in Toronto to take on the Leafs. Oilers taking on the Blues on the road, and then Canucks taking on the Preds. Saskatchewan female U18 AAA. We got Notre Dame Hounds at Regina taking on the Rebels. That's a 7:45 puck drop. And then wrapping up week 9 in the NFL. Arizona Cardinals taking on the Dallas Cowboys. 7:15. Dave Thomas's own Dallas Cowboys, I should mention. Sorry.
No, that's okay.
Is that salt in the wound?
Well, can I tell you after tonight?
Yeah.
Tonight's a big one.
Okay, well, why don't we talk about, let me see here. Let's see what the pro line looks like with your sprinkle of the day. So if you wanted to check this out, of course, you can do it online. You can also do it old school and go into your local lotto spot. Must be 18 plus to play. Play responsibly. Every bet is 100% legal with the chance of winning cash in hand. Sports Select. When you're ready to play, bet on the original. Again, you can even generate that QR code if you wanted to do that in advance and then take it in. Sportsselect.com if you want to check out some of the futures as well. Find out how you can bet on the winner of everything from the Stanley Cup to the Super Bowl, the NBA Final, NCAA, soccer, NASCAR, whatever your shtick is. Again, your local lotto spot retailer. So I think our sprinkle of the day needs to be your Dallas Cowboys there, Dave.
Yeah, I think we're going to go that way, right?
We're going to have to. Okay, so I asked you this earlier, but do you remember what is the over-under on this game?
Do the one that you told me or the one that I picked? I said that Dallas's defense was atrocious, but they could outscore Arizona, so I went high, and I said 61 points.
And that is high. The over-under, he's taking the over, obviously, 53.5.
Yeah, take the over.
And then the points spread, 3.5, plus 3.5 for Arizona, minus 3.5 for Dallas.
Yeah, I'd take the pro line with Arizona.
Yeah. Okay. So
I just think it'll be a very tight game if Dallas pulls it out, which they have to outscore the Cardinals with, even though they're at home. And a kicker that can kick it 60-plus yards.
Yeah, that's insane. Yeah, that is absolutely insane. Okay, so we know Dave's picks.
I would not, if I was you, I would not follow those picks because they're probably going to be wrong.
No,
I'm just saying.
I would have to go with the Cards on this one, but I'm not throwing a lot on it, you know?
Yeah.
I'm going to keep it pretty modest. But that is your sprinkle of the day. Of course, you can check out sportsselect.com. Must be 18 plus to play and play responsibly. We're going to take a quick break and come right back here. Oh, no, never mind. We are going to stay right here. We're going to stay right here for a little something we like to call Pat Chat.
Time now for Sportscage Pat Chat, powered by Southie Mainline Motors. The name you trust. Mainline Motors is now only 30 minutes from Regina. Amazing deals and award-winning service is now at your doorstep. SouthieMainline.ca.
Yes, it is Pat's Chat, brought to you by Southie Mainline. Again, I'm Tegan Whitco, your Monday host of the Sports Cage, joined alongside voice of your Saskatchewan Roughriders, Dave Thomas, and Curtis behind the board, keeping all of us in check. But we do also have a guest joining us for Pat's Chat this week. Dayce Derkatch of your Regina Pats. First and foremost, thanks for taking time to come see us. I know you got a game tomorrow, Dayce.
Oh, well, thank you for having me. I'm super excited to get this thing going.
Well, and as you were coming in, we were wrapping up a conversation with Darian Durant, and you are quite familiar with Darian Durant. Would you say that he's your favorite rider of all time, or would you have to go with someone else? He's not listening, so don't feel obligated to say him.
Yeah, he's got to be up there, but I think my favorite has got to be Durant Carter, just because of that catch. I'll always remember that. I was at the game as one of the very few that I've been to, but that catch was unreal.
Okay, I can understand that.
100%.
18-year-old forward with the Pats. Tell me about the season so far. You get a big win, outscoring an opponent literally in Brandon on the weekend.
Yeah, you know what? The team's coming along for sure. We started off pretty rough there. I think we were 1-6, 1-7, and we've turned it around here. So I'm looking forward to the next few games here coming up.
So you made the move back to your hometown after being traded from the Raiders to the Pats, and you're not the only local product on this roster. So how does it feel to come home playing for your hometown team?
Yeah, you know what? It's awesome. Having hometown guys, they know what it's like to be in Regina and how much role models we are in the community. So how we carry ourselves in public, and everyone looks up to us. So I think that the hometown guys have a pretty good taste of what that's like, and you know what? They're just all great guys in the room. So it's awesome to have so many hometown guys around the room.
And being able to sleep in your own bed probably doesn't hurt.
Yeah, and mom's home cooking is pretty good too. I love that. So.
Nothing beats it. Pre-game meal?
My pregame meal, I usually go with a pasta, and then I have some salad on the side. I like to mix my vegetables in there. So, yeah.
You're just saying that because you're on the radio and streaming on sportscage.com.
Now, Dayce, your dad is Dale, of course, right? So first of all, never complain about the billets because it's not going to be heard by the general manager of the team, just so you're aware. But one of my favorite things with my kids is when we get to ride home from the rink together. And we'll break down the game, we'll dissect the game. What's that like for you?
Yeah, you know what? My dad, for me growing up, he's the reason where I am today. He such a smart hockey mind, and he knows everything there is to know about the game. He's truly role model and my hero for sure. I look up to him each and every day. But we don't really have car talks like that anymore. But he still analyzes my game and gives me some good pointers on what I should do for the next one.
So do those pointers come over supper and pasta or anything, or how does that dynamic work?
Yeah, it's usually over supper or when we have some time. Usually the whole family listens in, which is, you know, it's sometimes nice, but sometimes my brothers get me in. But yeah, no, it's a weird dynamic, but we're working it all out, and it's going just fine. I'm glad I made the decision to come back to Regina.
And you were offered that opportunity to make the decision. How did that conversation go? You're 18 years old, you're living in Prince Albert, and you've got an opportunity to come home. How did that fall into place?
Yeah, you know what? It just kind of fell in my lap. I didn't really know what was best for me. When I was first approached by my dad, I took some time to sleep on it for sure. I took a couple days, I think, and just decided that the best decision was to come here to a younger team. I have a year in the league, so I can help out some of these younger guys like Schultz and Liam Pugh, and I think it was just obvious, or ultimately the best decision for me just to be back home.
When you look at the Prince Albert Raider organization, a young head coach in Ryan McDonald there, again, a general manager that has been around for a while, and I'll get in trouble if I make another age joke with Curtis Hunt, but tell me about that organization and what the opportunity that they gave you to get into the league.
Yeah, you know what? I have nothing bad to say about PA. That's it's a great community. It's a tight community. Everything's so close there, and everybody's so close. The team Such a tight group, and the culture there that they've created is really something special. So, you know what? Nothing bad to say about them, and it's no surprise that they're doing so well this year.
Making that transition to the WHL last season, what were some of the biggest learning curves?
You know what? The biggest learning curve is how important the game is, how serious everybody takes it. You know what? In midget and bantam hockey, I mean, people aren't showing up 2 hours before practice or watching film or stretching, or taking care of your body how they do in the WHL. I think that was the biggest learning curve for me, is that this is your job. You have to go out there and perform every night, and if you don't, you could lose your job just like that.
So with this being a new chapter, a new-ish environment, you're obviously familiar with Regina being from here, but with the local expectations, and a new role, what would you consider to be a success this season? What are some of the goals that you have? Is it, leadership expectations, point targets, anything that you've set your sights on this season?
Yeah, you know what? Everybody looks at the points, but for me, I just want to be a good character guy. I want to be, like I said before, we've got a lot of young guys. I want them to be able to come to me and talk about the league or any of their problems. I want to be that guy to them. And ultimately, we want to make the playoffs this year. You know what? We have the team here that we can definitely do it this year. So we're hoping to crack that playoffs and hopefully go on a run.
Coaches have complimented you on your 200-foot game. How much pride do you take in that, and how much did you have to learn to do that?
Yeah, that's definitely something that has been harped on me since I was a young guy coming up, especially from my dad. He, you know what? If you don't play a 200-foot game, you're not going to make it very far. So I think that's something that I've just been taught, and my mantra is to go out there and be the hardest working player on the ice every time you're out there. So I think that I try and do that each and every night.
I don't want to get you in trouble, but I do want to ask the question.
You never preface a question that way.
So have you watched YouTube highlights of your dad and some of the goals that he scored? There's some amazing goals that he put in the back of the net. But did he play a 200-foot game? You don't have to answer.
You know what? Some of those goals are unbelievable.
I know, right?
But I'm going to tell you, the goalies back then had these little pads, and they came out to the ringette line trying to poke check them. So, you know what? If I was playing back then, I think I would have a couple just skate around the goalie like he did. But no, you know what? I look up to him each and every day. So, yeah, he's awesome.
Of course, Dayce and the Regina Pats going to be on the ice tomorrow night against the Calgary Hitmen as they come to town. It's the I Love Regina game. This is the inaugural, the first time they've ever partnered with the city to put on something like this, and you get to be a part of it as a local person, as a local player, pardon me. How cool would it be to see the Durant Center just packed for that game?
Yeah, I mean, that's ultimately the goal. That would be so cool. I remember the Brand Center when Bedard was here. It was unbelievable. That the fan base here is just great. And we're doing half-price tickets, and hopefully we fill that arena.
Can I test you to see how much you do love Regina?
You can give me.
All right. Local Regina guy. Rapid-fire questions. Your favorite Regina food?
Favorite Regina food? I'm going to go with, I like Eastside Mario's. It's a place in the East End.
Okay.
I really like the pastas, the soup, the salad from there. So that would be the place that I would go.
Okay. Favorite thing to do outside of the rink in Regina?
That would be going golfing. I had a membership at the Regina Royal this summer. I love golfing with my brothers.
Ever been to the Science Center?
I think I have when I was in maybe grade 3 field trip, but not recently, no.
Best ODR?
Best ODR is the one near WF Ready in the East End.
Been to the legislature lately?
Not lately, no.
When's the last Riders game you went to?
Last Riders game I went to was 2 years ago. They played against the Montreal Alouettes.
How many detours did you have to make on your way here to the studio today in traffic? No, that was that one. Yeah. We still love Regina. That's a date question. I'm just throwing that out there. We do love Regina.
Yeah,
they're fixing the roads.
They are fixing the roads.
There you go.
Slowly but surely.
I think you passed the test.
Yeah, I think you passed the test. Do you have a favorite Pats player of all time, and you're not allowed to say anyone you're related to?
My favorite Pats player of all time is Tanner Howe, just because he plays a 200-foot game, and that's the game that I would want to play. He worked so hard on both ends of the ice, and as you see, he's earned his contract in the NHL. So that's who I look up to for a Pats player.
Awesome.
Okay. Love that. Dayce Derkatch, our guest here on Pats Chat today. Thank you so much for doing this.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me. I appreciate it.
Of course. He's got a game to go get prepared for tomorrow. So that was, of course, Pats Chat, brought to you by Saudi Mainline. Fresh trade, a 2004 top model limited Ram 1500 with only 30,000 kilometers. 3 was hard for me to say there. Wow. It has a 5.7 liter Hemi. They also have a bunch of $20,000 all-wheel drive SUVs ready to help you conquer the winter, because it is inevitable. As soon as construction season ends,
there you go.
Winter begins.
Thanks for bailing me out.
You're welcome. And the snow removal is great. So, yes.
There you go.
See? We love Regina.
We love Regina.
Tickets on sale for that game tomorrow night if you want to watch the Pats and Hitmen go at her. Also, we do have some tickets to give away to that game. So if you'd like to win a pair, text in your name as well as the word Pats to the Prairie Land Rentals text line 306-936-6262. Again, Pats along with your name, and you could win. We'll be back in a flash, okay? This is the Sports Cage, the home of local sports on 620 CKRM and streaming at sportscage.com.
620 CKRM is your home to country's greatest hits and the 90s at 9. 1 full hour featuring the biggest hits of the 90s. Garth, Reba, Alan, Shania, George, and so much more. No cassette tape or CDs required, and 90s mullets are optional. 90s at 9 for the town of Wolseley and the voice of Saskatchewan. 620 CKRM.
Back to our regular spot, Pump Jacks Cathedral.
You know, I thought Pump Jacks was a kind of boot polish till last month.
What are you getting?
Kerwin's crispy ribs and a cold pint of local craft. Crispy, meaty, beautiful.
You had me at meaty.
Plus, we got live music on the weekends, big screens. This place is basically my second marriage.
And way cheaper than the first.
On the corner of Albert and 13th, Pump Jacks Cathedral Saloon and Steakhouse. Come early, stay late. The place where friends meet.
Louis Dreyfus Company, Yorkton. The LDC Nexera program is out for 2026 and carries a higher premium, trucking incentives, and varieties that have proven better yields. Nexera and Nexera Oil are grown and produced right here on the prairies and stay in North America. Call and book your acres today and find out why Nexera is the most profitable canola. Louis Dreyfus Yorkton. 877-782-8882 or ldcyorkton.com.
Welcome back to Hot Tech Heat. I'm 3 wings deep, lips numb, and I'm here on location at Glassers TV, your SaskTel authorized dealer.
What? You think that wing's spicy? Try SaskTel's blazing fast internet.
And these phones, top of the line, smooth, smart, smoking hot deals.
They got the gear, the service, and the sauce. Just don't wing it. Get connected.
Visit Glassers TV, your SaskTel authorized dealer, and moose them in today.
Steffes Auctioneers presents the C&E Schmidt & Sons Farm Limited Retirement Online Auction November 5th. Don't miss this opportunity to bid on well-maintained agriculture equipment located near Davidson. Auction includes a 4-wheel drive tractor, mechanical front-wheel drive tractors, combine, headers, trucks, trailers, augers, and more. That's the November 5th C&E Schmidt & Sons Farm Limited Retirement Auction. Check it out at steffesgroup.com. That's STEFFES group.com.
Back to Sports Cage. Text 306-936-6262. 620 CKRM.
I'm Tegan Whitco, your Monday host of the Sports Cage, alongside Curtis behind the board, keeping us in check, and Dave Thomas, the voice of the Saskatchewan Roughriders, who I think just banged up his hand on the desk or something.
Knee.
Oh, you okay?
Just like the kid at Christmas, always got to hit the table leg, right? Sorry.
Poor Dave Thomas. But we are here. We got a couple more minutes on the show today, and we want to talk about some curling. Big announcement last week with the Grey Cup being announced to be in Saskatchewan in 2027. This morning, fast forward a week, we got another announcement. The Brier is coming to Saskatoon same year in 2027. So it's going to be a big year for Saskatchewan, especially the spinoff on the economy. Curling is alive and well, right? Canadian mixed curling event in Assiniboia this week, Canadian curling trials in November, the Grand Slam of curling in Saskatoon this December, and now preparations are underway for the Brier to make its return to the land of the living skies. And here to talk to us about that 100th anniversary of the Montana Brier returning to the province, of course, we have our next guest queued up, ready to go, Kirk Myers. Thanks for joining us.
Hey, thanks for having me. I appreciate it. That's exciting news today.
That's very exciting news. So I can imagine that you're pretty pumped about this curling in Saskatchewan. Does it get any better than that?
No, it doesn't. I think the ship has sailed for me to play in a Saskatoon Brier, but when you hear something like that, you kind of think you might dust off the shoes and play another year. But I've said it a million times, playing in Saskatchewan is the best place in the world to play curling, and I think it's the best place in the world to watch curling, too. The crowds are pumped, they're into it, and it's just a great atmosphere at those events. So I'm looking forward to 2027. That's going to be a fun one.
Kirk, it's great to hear your voice again, and I know that you are still doing and competing in doubles curling right now, but you have played at a Brier before. What's that atmosphere like? And for an athlete to have the opportunity potentially to do it at home, what would that mean?
Oh, yeah, it's so cool. I mean, I remember a couple of years ago, I watched every draw in Regina when I was down in Regina, and McEwen and Flash and the Marsh boys had a good run. I mean, it was so cool to watch them and watch the hometown crowd go nuts on their every move. We were lucky enough to play in one back in 2018 in Regina, too. And I got to play in a few Briers, and I mean, the first one, you always remember your first Brier is amazing, and that was in Kamloops, but the Saskatoon Regina Brier that I got to play in was unbelievable, and it's great for all the teams, not just the Saskatchewan teams, but for the Saskatchewan teams, it's like on steroids. It's so amazing, so much fun, and for curlers, you don't get that every day, right? You go from you might be playing in the curling rink for 10 weeks in a row, and then all of a sudden you get to go and play in an arena full of 6,000-7,000 people. Watching your every move, it's crazy for curlers to experience that. So it's one of the coolest experiences you get as an athlete to play in those big buildings, but especially for the hometown crowd for Saskatchewan curlers. It's so cool.
It feels weird to say that this is the centennial Brier that is coming to Saskatchewan, but that's got to speak to the longevity of this sport. And how do you see it potentially looping in the next generation of curlers?
Yeah, I think so. I think we've seen some great growth in the last maybe 10 years of the game, and the more youth are getting into it every year. And I think the game is becoming more and more professionalized and athletic than we've ever seen. So a lot of more kids are excited to see it, and the access to it, and you see it so much more on TV, and you see it so much more in the media and stuff than maybe we did growing up. And I think that gets the youth excited about it as well. And I think, the fact that Curling Canada gave it to Saskatoon again for the 100th anniversary is really cool, because I remember back in 2004 when I was just a kid, it was the 75th anniversary, and again in Saskatoon. So I think that speaks volumes for what, the powers that be at Curling Canada, what they think of curling in Saskatchewan, and then they feel like, these big, the big years need to come back to Saskatchewan, where there's super deep curling fans.
Kirk, we often hear about the quadrennials, and that's the big talk right now in curling, right? And obviously you have performed and trained to reach your peak at a certain point. How many athletes in Saskatchewan do you just think reset their peak to represent our province in 2027?
You know what? I think every single one of them. You look at McEwen, who they're pushing to go to the Olympics yet this year. I mean, certainly that's going to be, for a team like McEwen, that's going to be the number one priority here for the next few months. But, after that, I mean, barring they go to the Olympics or they don't go to the Olympics, I mean, the focus is going to be on that Saskatoon Brier. And for every other team in the province, now all of a sudden they have something to push for the next couple of years, because if you can be that home team at the Brier, you get to feel like a celebrity for a week, and you get to live out your dreams, something you dreamed of as a kid. You got to watch, Bruce Cordy play in the hometown Briers in the early thousands. And so, I mean, every kid is going to see that and want to be that, live that dream in a couple of years. So that's going to rekindle it. And like I said, there's a lot of good young talent that are going to be pushing for that too. And I think we might see, you never know, we might see a new face at that Brier too.
I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit here, Kirk. Real quick before we have to let you go. What's the best arena you've curled in the province?
Oh, the best arena in the province? Well, I mean, for sure the SaskTel Place or the, I'm going to call it the Agrodome, but the Brand Center. those are the two that take the cake. I mean, the size of them, you walk into them and you just go, wow, is it huge? We got to play the Olympic trials back in 2021 at SaskTel Center, and I mean, for me that was so cool because I watched that growing up. I watched Bruce Cordy play that in 2000 and 2004, and it was just bigger than life. And then you get to walk out on that ice and you go, holy smokes, I get to play here. So in a big arena like that, it just doesn't get any better.
Kirk, you cost me $20. I sprinkled that you were going to say Munster.
That's a close second, Dave. That's a close second. Now I'm gonna owe everyone beer back in Munster for that one.
Oh, Kirk Myers, thank you so much for taking the time to chat about this. We'll have to catch up again in the near future here.
Awesome. I appreciate you guys having me on, and have a good evening.
Yes, you too. Thanks so much. Of course, Kirk Myers joining us to talk a little bit about the 100th anniversary of the Montana's Brier returning to Saskatchewan. That'll be in the year 2027. What does that say about prairie hospitality, hey?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, we know what we're doing up here, especially when it comes to curling. With that, I think we got to go. I think we're all out of time. So this was the Monday edition of the Sports Cage, brought to you by Kellen Solar. Installing solar in residential and commercial buildings for 35 years. Local and trusted Kellen Solar. Visit kellensolar.com. We are going to be giving away some Regina Pats tickets for tomorrow night's I Love Regina game after we sign off. We also have those West Final tickets to give away for the Riders and BC Lions through the Prairie Land Rentals text line. So be sure to join me next Monday. In the meantime, Mr. Barney will be back tomorrow through Friday, so make sure that you join him for all of his wonderful guests. Rash Madani, Glenn Suter. He's got a fully stacked show over the next couple of days here. You won't want to miss it. Until then, I'll chat with you next Monday. We'll talk to you on Saturday for the West Final on the Rider Broadcast Network. You can feel free to watch at sportscage.com and our YouTube as well. On behalf of Curtis, Dave Thomas, and myself, good night from the Sports Cage studio in downtown Regina.
Country's greatest hits live right here. 620 CKRM, a Harvard media station.
It's 6 o'clock. Good evening. I'm Corey Atkinson from the SaskToday.ca newsroom with your 620 CKRM news. RCMP say there's no known connection between the suspect and the victim in the fatal shooting of Tanya Myers near Weyburn. The 44-year-old was shot while traveling in an SUV along Highway 39 with a friend. 42-year-old Chris Fallman of Regina faces charges, including manslaughter and weapons offenses. Inspector Ashley St. Germain says no other suspects are being sought. Fallman's lawyer says the public should reserve judgment until more facts are presented in court. The city of Regina says Frost Regina will return in February for its 5th year, celebrating the city's winter spirit. This year's festival includes Olympic-themed activities at Mosaic Stadium, along with fan favorites like skating under the lights at Victoria Park and carriage rides. Deputy City Manager Jennifer Johnston says nearly every site offers indoor and outdoor events, so everyone can enjoy the fun no matter the weather. The festival runs over 3 weekends across multiple city locations. The Saskatchewan Association of